A very good morning to you. Thank you so very much, everyone, for staying with us here on Global Television. We're live in Abuja, the capital city of Nigeria. Well, it's interesting how that finally, it's 31st of February. At a point, it looks like it was so far away, but today it's not, it's almost behind us because we're as into the action already. Just before I move any further, I'm Uya Mofwegbe and my colleague Priscilla Obasi. Together we'll be bringing you all of the, details as they unfold regarding the Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections today. And then, of course, just to let you know, we have 6 area councils where you have several parties vying for different positions, including those of councillorship. And as expected, we would always say, may the best man win. We've brought you here on Global Television stories around developments, annex preparation, the role of civil society organizations, security agencies, and even political parties themselves. And for the media, in this particular instance, represented by Global Television, we'll do no less than bring you all the details where we'll be unbiased, professional, ethical, and of course fair to all parties involved. Priscilla, you are not going to vote, just like I will not be voting as well, but we're here to do our bit by ensuring that our viewers do not miss the action as it unfolds. Of course, there are people who will not be voting today for many reasons, either because they are on essential duty that would not allow them to go to their polling units to vote. Then of course you have those who are just going to be at home for reasons best known to them.
Well, we don't hope that you are at home for reasons beyond you being occupied, you doing what we're doing right now, because we are supposed to go vote. We're here in the studio because we want to bring you the updates.
Right.
So I want to really appeal to Nigerians
to come out and vote.
We don't want voter apathy in this election. Do your best.
Right.
Go to that polling unit, except for, of course, you registered somewhere else.
Maybe you had a problem moving your card.
And all of that. Because I believe that there are still situations like that.
Yes, there are several.
We have the APC youth that come tell us that even himself have not gotten his PVC after trying to transfer from one polling unit to another. So there are such situations, except that is your situation. Please go out there and exercise your franchise. Go and vote. Yes, because this is grassroots politics. People don't even know the importance of the local council elections. This is where that bad road that you have in your streets, this is where to tackle it right now.
The local health facility.
The local health, the primary health cares, right? And all of that. Everything, the primary schools in your neighborhood, the government facilities, everything that is in your neighborhood. This is where to pick the right leader to help fix all of that mess. Because you will think that it comes from the president. But I tell you, no. Grassroots politics starts with you and I. That's where you fix everything concerning your locality. And directly it impacts your life. So if you're a Nigerian, if you're in the FCT, and other states that are having the off-cycle
like Rivers and Kano.
Please go and exercise the franchise and make sure you vote. And if you have issues with your PVs, ensure that it is sorted before 2027, because we don't want to have you give this excuse again in 2027. But it's a beautiful day. The FCT minister declared yesterday curfew, although I heard some schools still operating.
Yes, I saw students coming back from school at about afternoon.
My children went to school, so probably the information came too late. And some
so there were schools that couldn't catch it.
Couldn't catch it, and of course students have already come. We can't send them home. Some of the parents have gone out. We just have no choice.
So what do you do?
And like the report. And today also has been declared that movement is restricted. I don't know if you noticed that in your
well, I don't know. It's a bit difficult, the context of restriction, right? I saw people moving about, a number of them really. Then plus that, just to mention too, that my house is it's quite a stretch from the office. All the way from home to the workplace, I didn't notice any police or security presence, and it was well past 7, even though we understand that the restriction is supposed to kick in at 7 a.m. So I don't know what's happening. Is it possible that security agencies were not effectively mobilized? I don't want to say informed. If you say they were not informed, that would be very embarrassing and shameful to say, even though we know sometimes some of these things can happen and we just gloss over that. But quite frankly, is it possible that they were not effectively mobilized. You know, what you said about them not being informed is still ringing
well,
in my head.
Still informed. You cannot say a thing and don't put in the structures to make it happen. It's one thing to say there will not be movement, but it's another thing to call on the security agencies,
put modalities
in place to ensure that indeed at that point, because I feel like because the roads were still a bit scanty, cars on the street and all of that. But like you mentioned, we didn't have enough security forces on the street. So I'm hoping that they are just waiting for people to go collect their electoral materials and, you know, be stabilized at their various polling units, and then the whole thing kicks off. But it promises to be a beautiful day for what I see. Nigerians, I am particularly excited about today. Let's see how everything plays out.
Sure. You know, Priscilla made a very strong and valid point about grassroots elections and leadership from the ground up, which will also be part of the focus of our conversation here on the program today. But we have our correspondents, like we mentioned at the top of the show this morning, dispersed across the city and even beyond. Of course, we'll be bringing you reports as well from Kano State, where we have our news crew on the ground. We understand there's by-election there. We also have by-elections elsewhere in River State. We'll try to, as it were, make it a melting pot for you this morning in terms of bringing you all of this information. But we understand that our news crew, one of our news crews here in Abuja, is standing by at the rack to join us, just to give us a pulse of what's happening already this morning. We'll take a break, and in the middle, we'll get connected to Ubong Usoro and his team. Please stay with us. All right, so we're getting connected to Ubong Usoro and his team on the ground to bring us up to speed as to what exactly is happening. We understand they are at the rack. That's more like the hub for election materials, which is, of course, very central to this entire exercise across the federal capital territory today. Hopefully, we have Ubong with us. Ubong Usoro, good morning. Okay, we understand he hasn't joined just yet, but let's quickly talk about some of the events that had transpired before today. Well, like I mentioned, we saw many political parties throwing their hats in the ring. We saw candidates all over the place. And then the incumbency factor was also a big conversation. Who is the ruling party? Which parties are the underdog? The last minute, if you like, negotiations to move people from one party to another.
Stepping down
from
the different parties. I heard
exactly.
some of the PDP candidates
stepping down for the APC.
And coming at a time like this, a day before the elections.
Right.
What would you say about that?
But I was really surprised. We were seeing that happen even in major cycle elections.
I want to ask, why did you run all the while? Because somehow these people have a preconceived notion that, okay, eventually I'll step down.
Right.
So could it be to put your face there, to make yourself popular, and then wait for
what's the objective?
Your own time, your own turn, you know, when it becomes your own Emileko. How does it say? Emiloko. And when it becomes your own Emiloko. But for now, can the world just see who I am? Can I just creating
Let me put my face out there.
Exactly. Could that be the motive? Because really, we've seen this happen over and time again.
Right.
And at that minutes, candidates step
down, and collapsing their structure.
So collapsing their structure to support at the end of the day, though, I would say unity is key. I would say the goal is, to the people to really lead, to really make the change, the impact that you want to make. So if we have values that align, I can just say, can you give it to me? I won't give it to you, though.
It's quite interesting, really.
Yeah.
But my concern is how that, whether you like it or not, there are people who believe these local, if you like, area council elections, are also a pointer to 2027. That look, for whatever it's worth, you've got to ensure that you put your best foot forward in this particular electoral exercise, in addition to whatever more work you are going to put in going into 2027. Because whether you like it or not, those who are going to emerge as chairman now will still be in office into and all through 2027, right? So you're going to need them as, so to speak, boots on the ground, all right? The chairman, their councillors, and of course the vice chairman and all of that. So at the end of the day, it comes down to one thing, it's about numbers. It's democracy. The more people you have on your side, the better your chances, the more effective you will be when you go to war, in the political sense and things like that. And that's why I realize that people are even saying that people individuals like Wike, Minister of the FCT, are not taking chances, because one would have thought this is far beneath him, this is below him, he has bigger fish to fry, he has rivers to secure.
Actually, I have expected, Nigerians were expecting him to be at the forefront of the FCT election, because he's the FCT minister. And for every reason, we know that part of the reason, he has clearly said that he is supporting President Tinubu come 2027.
Right.
So one of the ways to support is to also hold the ground
for him.
him.
Do you think he's not doing that?
Well, at the beginning of this whole campaign, he was quite distracted. Why say distracted with the whole reverse state politics?
So that was a bigger fish.
That was a bigger fish for him. But at the end of the whole thing, I think towards the end of as the elections approached, we saw the whole issue resolved. I don't know how resolved it is right now. We hope we don't get to hear that story again.
Right.
But at this point, there seems to be peace, right? The Rivers State Assembly have stopped the impeachment process and everything. The FCT minister now has time to focus. So we've seen him carrying candidates, standing behind candidates, endorsing candidates, especially in the APC. And it's a pointer that 2027, he wants to really do the job for our president. For me, though, the way that before these elections, we saw protests, even towards the end of this week, towards Friday, Thursday. And one will think that, okay, because of the elections, we want to take chances. These people are still going to use this hybrid model, like they called it, the hybrid model of elections, combining the, Beavers, IREV, and the manual collation of results. One will think that, okay, don't allow this to happen, because once it starts, it continues. The protesters have gone to, do I say sleep? No. There was coffee yesterday. Was it part of the reasons why the coffee was declared? One wouldn't know. But the elections is here, and the hybrid model of elections, of collation, is going to be used. So I am just wondering, the protesters that have been seeking and calling for this reform to be corrected, what happens to them, even in the midst of these FCT elections and other by-elections?
It's interesting. There have been questions as to whether or not the protesters won or lost in all of this. But let's not make it look like, let's not narrow the conversation and water it down unnecessarily. Because those protesters, we understand for the most part, were doing all of that for, in public interest.
Yes.
So it's not like they were there for themselves. So the question is, did the objective goal or noticed, was the goal achieved or not? What they asked for was online real-time electronic transmission of results.
Yes.
Of course, online real-time as an element is not there. What they have said, what the Electoral Act now states is that, well, we will use beavers. We'll use IRF. So we'll transmit electronically. Essentially, that's what it is. But your online real time, we're not so sure of that. Therefore, based on issues of logistics, systemic challenges, and all of these technology glitches and what have you. So we're going to back it up,
Yes.
back it up with the manual.
Analog.
Just in case. We can't afford to fail. The important thing is, in the final analysis, the process goes through and is conclusive.
I think we're going to hear the most from protesters when this election is over, because the manner at which it goes, the success rate we're able to measure really depend on if we work with it. 2027,
right?
The INEC chairman has come out to say this is going to be a litmus test, and of course, it is a litmus test. So let's see how it plays out.
Right.
In the meantime, we had the AEDC come out to say there's going to be a power outage in major areas of Abuja. So I'm wondering.
They said today, just for today.
Just today, of course. Why today, elections day? What does that say?
Is it not possible? It's a coincidence. It could have been any other day. It could have been a Christmas day. It could have been Big Salah Day, for example.
So does that affect? I hope it doesn't affect the beavers in any way. I hope we don't hear issues of we did not charge because there was
power outage. So we had to go manual for the most part.
I hope we have power banks, because we cannot be giving excuses of power outages in 2026. So we have solar renewable energy to use. We have power banks everywhere.
So there are alternatives.
There are so many alternatives. We don't want to hear that there was no power to charge our devices. Hence, we now had to go back to the analog, which is from ECHA. Well, it's an interesting day, like I said. We are looking forward to how things unfold.
It's interesting. We realize that all of a sudden it's 2026, and we're still here talking about the Electoral Act, what to remove, what to add, what not to even have at all, things like that. But again, this is all more like a prelude, or like some sort of, if you like, an insight into what 2027 will look like. Like you rightly mentioned, it is at the end of this ongoing exercise. Nigerians, including those protesters from the last couple of days or weeks, will be able to answer the question of whether or not we are progressing. Right? And then going into 2027, what all of this will mean. In any case, the president a few days ago had signed the bill into law. So it's now a law, it's not an act, it's now effective, full throttle. But he also defended it, saying that with this new piece of legislation, our elections will be better, will be freer, more credible, more transparent, and all of that. And some people are saying, why would the president sign it into law so much in a hurry? Because there had been similar bills that he refused to assent to and things like that. But it is what it is now.
It's timely. We need it for at least
yes, we
today.
do. Because another president before him had not signed in 2019 because he said it was too close to the election. But this president signs it and you have a problem with it. So what exactly do we want? We have to be sure. We have to be clear on that. So let's continue to make the most of what we have now as a country, as we continue to criticize constructively. Yes, constructively. We continue to throw in our best. We continue to contribute meaningfully from wherever corner we are also making our impacts. At the end of the day, like they say, there's no perfect electoral process anywhere in the world. However, we must take responsibility for the process and for the outcome. And the interesting thing, and sadly so, is you can't separate the process from the outcome. As they say, computer science is garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly, right? Absolutely. If you don't do what we need to do right now, the result will be what we see. It's what we sow. It's the garbage we put in, or the good works we put in, that
so you're going to get at the other end.
Out at the end of the day. So I would say really, because we cannot trust, we cannot say, we cannot expect the INEC chairman to be a superman at this point. Yeah, he's still human.
That would be unrealistic.
At the end of the day, so it's time for him to really pick up his pen, his biro, and start to write what it is, or what is it that we're going to get wrong, and the things that we eventually would get right. At the end of the day, you come up by yourself and say, Nigerians, we tried, we tried this worked, this doesn't work. You go to the Senate and say, I don't think this one will work, because it is not cast on stone.
Right.
Yeah. So
it should be fluid.
It should be fluid. Let's see what happens.
Right.
Yeah. And if it doesn't work out the way you want it to work out, feel free to revert back to the Senate and tell them, can we tweak this? Can we tweak that?
Or can we review?
Can we review
right.
to see that 2027 is even better than what we have now?
I think that makes a lot of sense. Just to remind you that we are hoping to be connected to Ubong Usoro, our political correspondent, and his team anytime from now. And of course, remind you that we have the newspaper review up ahead, distant time as well. But there is also concern, or I should say there are concerns around preparations as far as elections are concerned. I mean, Priscilla, today is the D-Day, as my mom would say, and you're asking yourself, were we prepared this whole time? Preparation now is beyond INEC, because that's, again, one of the narrow approach that we have at looking into issues of election. We start and end with INEC. There is the factor of security, where you are supposed to have security agencies. Of course, that's why we talk about interagency collaboration. INEC are the under agencies, right? So you have the police, you have the DSS, you have the NSCDC. In some cases, depending on circumstance and location, even the military, I mean, full-fledged armed forces, and all of that. And then, of course, you have civil society organizations, particularly those whose remit, or if you like, whose mandates is anchored on elections and electoral process, I mean civic work and what have you. And then you have the political parties themselves, because if we want to be frank with ourselves, every time you have infractions, every time you have anomalies, you have some sort of sharp practices associated with our electoral process. Yes, we can say INEC failed in certain areas, but some of that blame goes to the political parties and then key actors, including candidates in some cases. We have seen cases where candidates had finished voting and they were virtually declaring themselves winners. All right, these are infractions. So we don't need to normalize what is wrong, because over time they will become right, as they say, right? So we need to look at all of those. And then you not talked about a while ago the issue of excuses around, well, we couldn't charge, there was no power. I mean, it's common knowledge that there won't be power in most parts of FCT today and things like that. Even if the authorities or the service provider, whether it's transmission, generation or distribution guys, had not talked about or announced that they would, be carrying out maintenance, for example, we also know that we live in a country where power is not guaranteed 24/7.
Exactly.
So all of these things should have been taken into consideration, because you must be preemptive, as they say. It's like being on guard, where you know there's likely going to be an enemy attack, and you can't go to bed with two eyes closed. You've got to be preemptive. You've got to be proactive. So that's what we would have expected from INEC in particular, because these devices, they need to run on batteries. All right. So how do you ensure that power outage does not become an obstacle or become a clog in the wheel of progress? All of these are preparations issues. Yes, normally, like we saw with this one, INEC will hold several meetings with critical stakeholders, including with even the office of the NSA, for example. But how much of those efforts are brought to bear on the day of election proper? Exactly.
I think I'm also sharing the same thought. We have seen budgets, large amount
a lot of money,
given to INEC in preparation of this elections. And I'm asking, can we just even be transparent enough to know what and what and what? Because I don't know how well they owe Nigerians this detail, but I think it's important, right? Let us know, what is this money for? Can it be broken down? And even afterwards, can we know what it was used for? Because we don't want at the end of the day coming to tell us that we didn't have this, or this happened, or that happened. No, if you need Nigerians to lend their voices, we have been lending our voices by all means, we would, right? So let us know what the challenges are. Let us know what this money is being used for. We don't want to, like I started the show by saying, I really do not want to hear that there was power outage, because this thing should be sorted. It's like you mentioned, whether or not the ADC comes out to say that they are going to be carrying out maintenance. You know that you are not guaranteed of 24 hours.
So are we going to pretend?
Are we going to pretend?
Right. Well, there's something we can't also pretend about at this point in time, is the fact that we have correspondents on the ground across the FCT to bring us up to speed about developments at this point in time. In particular, Aniete Patrick, National Assembly correspondent who doubles as a political correspondent as well, we understand is joining us to give us a pulse of what's happening where she is right now. Good morning to you, Anita.
Good morning to you, Uyi, Priscilla. How are you guys doing?
Okay, so if you can hear us, would you be kind enough to, first of all, establish where you are at this moment and give us some insights as to how much of progress we are recording there in terms of today's exercise?
All right, so great. I'm actually at the Rock Center at LEA Primary School in Lugbe. You can see behind me, being taken out from the Rock Center to across the polling units. And we came in here quite early because we're told from the INEC distribution of election materials as early as it's about, so we moved from 6 a.m. But when we got here at about the exact time of 8, we still had people, the ad hoc staff, still queuing and trying to get the materials ready for distribution across the polling units. You can see right behind me right now, we still have vehicles who are supposed to convey the materials and the ad hoc staff to the various polling units, still trying to sort out the materials. And also we have security operatives fully on ground, ensuring there's orderliness on ground and easy distribution of election materials from the rack center to the polling units across from the Lugbe axis to Kabusa, and all of these axes ensure that they have these materials quite on time for the electorate to come. Let me take you around
So I believe this is a part of the issues.
Right.
The network problem was one of the things.
One of the issues.
Yes.
And this is doing an amazing work already.
Yes,
but it will appear a network is not very friendly at this point in time. So much for insights, but she was just going to show us around and expand the view a little. We're hoping to be able to. Okay, we understand that she has rejoined us. Can we continue? Okay, well, we'll rejoin Anyete shortly. But in the meantime, let's just let you know that our other correspondents will also be filling us in as to what exactly is happening around them as well. At this point in time, it's clear that essential materials are being distributed across the country. So let's get back now to to the field and just bring you some insight as to what's happening.
Okay, if you can hear me, what you're asking, you can see the view. Like I said, I was just trying to get to the view of what's happening. Okay, buses queued and transport means for the election materials to move away from this polling unit, this rack center actually at LEA Primary School here in Lugbe. But from what we've seen so far, in the last few minutes which we arrived, they had started moving. Ad hoc staff have been giving their materials to move to the polling unit to get the job done, because the INEC chairman has said all plans were ready, every arrangement was needed, and through the stakeholders engagement, he said assurance were given. And from what we've seen, the deployment of the security operatives is not even denied at all, because I can feel their presence right here at the rack center here at the LEA Primary School. And they've started moving. The place is becoming decongested, obviously. People are going out to their PUs.
Well, those are pictures from LEA Primary School at Lugbe, the Rock Center, like Nyeti has brilliantly established, from where essential materials for this electoral exercise will be dispersed or distributed to various points for these for today's election, but hopefully now there appears to be a lag in terms of schedule. This is past 9 in West Africa. At what point will the exercise proper start?
Yes.
Right, accreditation, voting proper. Of course, there's a bit of interval between accreditation and the voting exercise proper. But again,
I heard it was meant to take place simultaneously.
Simultaneously, right? So that will help speed things up a little.
But this is really behind schedule.
It is behind schedule, yes. Again, this circles back to the element of preparation, early preparation. that myself and Priscilla, yes, we're talking about a while ago. So apparently, well, Anita, we can't say thank you enough for helping us understand what's going on the ground right there. Elections are big activity, and early preparations matter like anything else. But we do hope that we are able to make the most of the limited time we have today, especially given that it's a one-day exercise, so there can't be carryover to tomorrow, apparently. And as always, may the best man win. Okay, so these are still some footage from the different.
So I believe it's supposed to also be a PU.
Yes, so apparently these are polling units now, and you can see electoral officers doing their parts by ensuring that records of voters are posted on the wall. Of course, accreditation is also a process that requires due diligence to ensure that the person voting is a person accredited to vote. Otherwise, it's going to be a situation where Priscilla is voting in place of we, and that would be electoral fraud, obviously.
You know, I just remember when I was a core member and I had to partake in this exercise.
What was your experience like?
It was, I don't know, it was a bit funny and beautiful because there was something that happened in Kogi State. And you know, we experienced the thugs then in Kogi State.
Did you run away?
Of course, of course. Well, we had diligent core members that were guarding the ballot boxes. So it was
the pictures,
the pictures of Nigeria and Kogi State. But in all, it was such a beautiful experience. I just imagine what could be going through the minds of these youths, corpus, core members there. But we're hoping that everything goes smoothly. We don't hear of any glitch. We don't hear of any violence whatsoever, because it can be a sensitive thing. Right?
Yeah, very
Sometimes
sensitive.
you see your parents calling, "Oh, where are you? Oh, we are not voting. Please don't be part of any election." So, but there was a time it was not made that it's mandatory for core members to be part of it.
So you didn't have a choice.
You didn't have a choice. So we wish them well. We hope everything goes smoothly by God's grace.
Of course, that's the prayer. Again, we say big thank you to you, Anita Patrick, and of course, you will continue to bring us up to speed as we make progress into this exercise, and that would be same for other colleagues who are on the field today. Samuel Odi, for example. Of course, we have Sadia Yakubu and Ubong Usoro with all their team members across the city. Of course, we'll make effort to join our correspondent Idris Jibrin in Kano, again, Metropolitan Kano, and you know what that means when you have even one election just for one local government or one seat at the federal House of Representatives or Senate happening in Kano. It can matter a lot. Again, all of these will play a very pivotal role in terms of shaping dynamics going into 2027. We'll take a break now, and when we return, we'll be looking at the papers for you. As expected, they will be loaded with these election matters.
All right, thank you very much for still being here with us. We dive straight to the newspaper review segment, and we're starting off with the Daily Sun, which is the Saturday Sun. Today is Saturday. First story is coming from Oshun. Roll over 13.7 billion naira payroll fraud. NNPP criticizes Adeleke. APC queries position of governor's brother in government. Government denies wrongdoing. Those details are there on page 27. Next story, Lassa fever claims 70 lives in 2026. This is coming from NCDC, I think National Disease Control Unit, something. You find a detail on page 28. 5 states account for 91% of cases. Lassa fever case has been here for a while. One would expect that Nigeria would have dealt with this at this point. How we successfully managed our union for 60 years. Sir and Lady Toby. Details on page 10 and 11, I beg your pardon. Next story, Nigeria records 14 million birth registrations in 2 years. This is coming from UNICEF. And you find details on page 25. The Star story, Nigeria's public debt hits 153.29 trillion naira. And that detail is on page 27. A writer there says how debts rose by 900 billion naira in 3 months. Basic education in danger. Death retirement depletes number of teachers across states. State governments battle to fill gaps as teachers lament shortage of manpower. Some states yet to recruit teachers in 16 years. This is really sad. You want to find details on page 6 and 7. And finally, why I support plastic surgery is coming from Uche Ibodu, the lady that went through the recent process of BBL and liposuction. There's a difference between BBL and liposuction.
Are we going to have that conversation this morning?
Well, maybe not this morning, but definitely. Well, those are your headlines for the Saturday Sun, and you do well by getting yourself a copy to read up more. Let's go now to the Saturday Tribune, and Uyi takes us through that.
All right, top left corner first on the Tribune today. NADDC moves to implement imports deletion program for local component parts. Those details are on page 7 for you. Tinubu to INEC, use FCT reverse polls to strengthen voters' confidence. PDP, INEC withdrawal by PDP candidates in FCT election. All right. Well, what's more? Big one here says, gunman storms Zamfara village, kill 30. Police military deploy reinforcements after killing of 33 in KB villages. So those gory details you can read up on page 3. There's a reason these criminals keep attacking villages. Anyway, all right. But let's continue to trust our military, our armed forces, the police, and indeed the government to do right by the people. And hopefully we're not normalizing some of the craziest things happening to us as a country right now. Governor Abiodun, Cleric Lord Awolowo Dosumu's legacy of service at 78. Friends, well-wishers join her at Thanksgiving service. Emeritus Professor Abiodun Jeifo for burial in Ibadan, March 4. Page 4 is where you have those details as well. We came from Niger Republic to beg for arms in Lagos. The ticking time bomb of underage arms seekers. Pages 16 and 17 has those details. You know, it's becoming very commonplace these days to find, even this morning, as early as, say, past 6, just before 7 this morning on my way to work, I noticed some of them as well. And this particular story is kind of interesting, given that these people say they came from Niger Republic. That's more like, if you like, it's beyond cross-country activity now. It has become more like something has been stretched beyond borders. It's normal for people to come do business, leaving their country, moving into other countries. But now, to go arms begging in another country, it's disturbing.
It is. It is. It just tells you how Africa and poverty has eaten deep into our country. But we are hopeful. We're really hopeful.
All of this will change for the better, right?
Will change in 2027.
In 2027. It's interesting how you put a date to these things, but we keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best, right? Let's go wrap it up. The last one says, at the foot of the front page now, Trump kicks as U.S. Supreme Court declares emergency tariffs illegal on page 6. Well, what can a president do? Supreme Court says you don't have the latitude to declare such magnitude of, if you like, tariffs or impose those tariffs, because they say Supreme Court says it needs to cycle back to Congress, all right, to be able to do that. Otherwise, the court believes that Mr. Trump has overstepped his bounds regarding his arbitrary use of executive orders. Those are your headlines from the Saturday Tribune. Let's now turn to Saturday Vanguard for you. Okay,
so Saturday Vanguard, we have the very first story, and it is on, well, funny enough, we've not seen any of the stories on today's elections, but we hope that we get the final one. Nigeria spent 10.81 trillion naira on debt services in 9 months, as public debt stock rises to 153 trillion naira, and that detail is on page 4. Health scientists find cancer-linked chemicals in popular hair extension. Wow, this is for the ladies. Your perfumes may be harming you.
Right.
Wow, that's serious. Details on page 15, please. It's important to check out that. FCT, Kano, Rivers, poll. Wike moves to deliver Abuja, Rivers, as Kwankwaso Yusuf digging for Kano. Okay, so there seems to be peace restored in Rivers, and it's clear why Wike's mind still have been in Rivers, because they also have by elections.
Right.
I mean, your home first.
Right. So if you can't win at the base, you are not likely going to be able to make so much of noise on stage. But he shouldn't be bothered,
because Tinubu has Fubara there. So
I think it's not about whether Tinubu, for him, it's a good thing that the president has somebody, but it matters who he has.
Yeah, so he wants to be
it's got to be him.
He wants to be him.
Yes. No one else.
So he can be him here.
I think it's clear. I mean, we don't have to debate this any further. Mr. Yusuf Wike sees himself as the godfather of River State politics. So anything otherwise to him is an affront, is an aberration, is ingratitude. Now remember, the man does not like ungrateful people, so you've got to be careful.
The thing is, one would say, Wike believes that Tinubu picked him because he had some
capacity is the word you're looking for,
and capital in River State.
Right.
So he needs to hold that position tight, because
his structures.
That was the basis for even picking him in the first place.
Yes.
He seemed to be useful for River, so he doesn't want that. It's not about who does it right now. It's about protecting
his
my
own interest.
It's about being the man at the forefront. It's about being the one that delivers this thing, because eventually, if I am able to do it, FCT is a small state now, so they are less concerned about FCT, because anyone can do it for FCT, right? In 2027. Yeah. So River State is the main issue.
That's the real deal.
Yeah. So we would prefer Fubara to come help him out in FCT. Why he does?
So you think he might want to switch places?
I don't know. Maybe not for the position though.
Right.
Not for, he cannot become River State governor again. So if he could, he would prefer.
He would, yeah.
And ask
even though the man has rightly or wrongly been accused of wanting to use Fubara as a third term, but obviously, with a big if, that was the objective from the get-go, it's obviously not working.
It didn't work out, so I mean, Rivers is mine, says Wike.
Sounds like a song from the 90s.
Okay, so let's get over to the next story, and that is the Star story. We need help, governor declares, as insecurity worsens. Terrorists kill 30 in Zamfara, fresh attack. This is sad. Details on page 4. Okay. We're still having this issue, and it's really troubling. Electoral Amendment Act. Okay, first we see a story that talks on elections. And actual motives of political players now clear. Opposition lawmakers say the battle has just begun. What Nigerians should do for their votes to count in 2027. That's coming from Abari Bey. Abari Bey has been one of the persons, one of the key lawmakers, pushing for the real-time electronic transmission of
and he took it personal at a point.
Yes, he did, and Nigerians are proud of him, especially the protesters.
So he's a hero now.
He is. Political divorce that could reshape 2027. Okay, that story has Tinubu's face and former governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai's face. Are they divorcing?
Well, politically.
They're divorcing politically.
Right.
Interesting. Olawepo Hashim recalls what happened to Gowon. NPN hopes to retire Tinubu. Okay. Details on page 11. How 15 Abia wedding guests perished in auto crash. That saying has a rider, Black Valentine. That's a sad one. Details on page 14. Finally, we have man slits wife slits. Man slits wife's throat after minor quarrel. Wow. Oh,
that's gory.
Really gory. Details on page 2. Those are your headlines for the Saturday Vanguard.
All right, now let's go to Punch as we just take a look at a couple of more headlines for you. Adjacent to the Punch newspaper, nameplate says, "Becoming a king won't end my showbiz career." That's Oke Bakassi, whom we understand is now a king somewhere in Imo State. Is quite a landmark, really, for somebody who has established, or if you like, built such a sterling career in showbiz, African movie industry, starting with the popular Nollywood, and now becoming a king in his own country. Is quite an escalation in terms of responsibility and impact. I'm sure the industry and indeed country have never been more proud of him. But now the man says being a king won't stop his showbiz career. Let's see how he pivots back, maybe back and forth, being a king and being superstar. All right. Mirabelle, how false rape story turned into money-making venture. With writer here, TikToker faces 3-year jail. Nigerians demand stiffer punishment. I'm sure, Priscilla, you're not ignorant of this story about this Mirabelle lady.
Yeah, it has been a very, what do I even call, how do I describe that story? It's just to, I don't know, weird. Weird is the word, because the way the whole thing came up, the way, the way she was able to get the emotions of Nigerians, and up till this point, we're still trying to figure out why the lie.
Right.
Why did you have to bring this out? People are coming out to say, okay, she has some
mental health issues.
And all that.
How did we determine that?
How did we determine? Are you a professional? Are you a medical doctor? Are you a psychiatrist to come out to say someone has a...
Or are you a member of a family? Maybe you have followed her history.
Because the whole thing was just funny. Someone sits down, cook up a lie, and there's this thing they say about a lie. You have to use another lie to cover. And then,
so the cycle never ends.
The cycle never ends. Right now, the lies are now looking like a mental issue. How do you tell me lies are looking like... She needs to be examined first to be able to determine what was wrong in the first place. We cannot just sit and pinpoint.
What was the motive?
What was the motive? Is she really, she needs to sit with a psychiatrist to examine her truly. She needs to go through some kind of brain test. I don't know. There are things, there are medical procedures to these things.
Right.
Nigerians should just stop it already. Let us do the right things. Let her go through the right processes to be able to determine what exactly is wrong. And if it is found that there is nothing wrong, nothing deep wrong. We cannot really examine mental issues, mental health issues. We can examine mental issues, but not mental health. I don't know how to put it, but then I really feel like from the beginning of this thing, it just seemed too fishy. It seemed too funny. Someone is talking. I wasn't even able to hear her. I said, why is she talking and I'm not hearing what she's saying?
Even though you see her mouth opening.
Yeah, you see her mouth opening. And
you can hear sound.
The first thing I said the day I watched that video, can this girl open her mouth and talk? Can she just open her mouth? Can I hear what she's saying? Because it now seemed like, I don't know, it was obviously something was written wrong. For the fact that I couldn't hear what she was saying. The next thing that followed was tears, cry. The story was not very clear.
Right.
The information she was dishing out was not very clear. It wasn't clear. It was mixed with mumbled words, or how do I put it? It was mixed with emotions all over the place, and you could barely hear. So there was the story about, I was caught. What caught you? Can you just speak in layman's terms? What is the problem? You are not some kind of medical professional giving us some jargons that we cannot hear. So it didn't sit well. Then she started getting the sympathy from the public, people coming out to
make donations,
and people coming out to it's at the end of the day, this is a lesson to everyone on social media, especially. You don't believe what you see. There's a logical part of the of your reasoning, and you should use it to ask yourself, 1 + 1 is there, am I seeing 2 when I add this up? If you're not seeing it, you have the right to question. You don't have to throw in things or swallow things because people cry about it. No, it's emotional manipulation. It can be a tool. Tears can be a tool for emotional manipulation.
Especially when coming from a woman.
Well, yes, sadly I'll have to agree, especially when coming from a woman.
And rape as a subject is extremely sensitive.
Very sensitive. Now, in the midst of this thing, her neighbors had to come out to clarify that, this is not true. Because the next thing you want to look at, if you stay in that neighborhood, if you see a man coming out of that command, you say, could it be this guy?
Right.
Could it be that guy? So it was important for the neighbors to come out and say, nothing like this happened though. We didn't see, so because people were already trying to bash them.
Nothing.
People were trying to bash them.
On the side day, she even left with a particular man and they looked cool altogether.
Yeah, exactly. So when they came out to make that video, people were bashing them, saying they are being insensitive. But why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they come to clear the air? Because they could be the suspects for all we care. So it's sensitive, it's a lesson, and I feel like she should be taught some kind of lesson. It might be, I don't think it's harsh to say, at least let her learn from her mistakes. So that nobody comes out to come and make stuff.
And the good thing is Nigerian laws are very clear about these things, including things like cyber stalking, cybercrime of any kind, whether you are going to defame somebody or just commit libel or something. Ignorance of the law, as I say, is not an excuse.
Yes.
Somebody once said, I spoke with a lawyer, somebody who was one-time Attorney General at the time, at that particular point was the Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice in that state. I spoke with her, a woman, a mother, in fact a grandmother. I spoke with her about issues because there had been a rape that happened in a church at that time, a couple of years ago. And she said that there's no excuse for not punishing rape. For those who have committed or perpetrated that kind of crime, there's no excuse. So that's a settled issue. However, she did a flip of the whole thing, asking, what about cases where somebody has been falsely accused and the court is able to establish scientifically and legally that this person has been falsely accused? What do we do in such cases? And again, it sort of humbles you, knowing that there's clearly we have a bunch of cases where people had been falsely accused of rape where none actually happened. This one, for example. So it has not opened our eyes, law enforcement, citizens, and everyone else to say, look, you've got to double check the stories you hear. Don't be moved by tears and all of these fictitious stories on social media. You've got to double check. You've got to do your due diligence so that you are responsible for these sort of stories that you consume. I think that much is very important.
Yeah. Another thing is there is also a case saying that it was not a false accusation because she did not pinpoint it on anyone. But we cannot deny the fact that there was false information in all of this. And
so whether she pegged it on someone or not is a different case altogether, right?
Yes. So.
All right. Well, I'm happy that I'm having this conversation with the woman. Let's return to the front page of the Punch newspaper again. Now, everyone, where we still have a number of stories, headlines here. The big one actually says, Night of Terror in Zamfara. Gunmen on 150 motorcycles, block roads, kills cause, abducts many. Victims buried in mass graves. Analysts renew calls for state police. Quite sad. What more do we have here? It says, from couriers to cartels inside Nigeria's booming cross-border drug empire. Church expels new bride for refusing sex with husband. I think that's the kind of story Ogochukwu usually brings to us on social bars. Real reason I hid inside aircraft's wheel well in 2013. Edo stowed away. It's been 16 years almost now. 13 years. How time flies. Why my people hate Nigerians. South African beauty queen and Tasha Belly. You've got to read that story, the detail, when you pick up a copy of the Punch newspaper today. A pastor to die by hanging for killing Akwa Ibom landlord. That's an extreme one, no doubt, right? So much for Saturday Punch, everyone. Do read up those details from the paper so you can stay ahead of the news as well. All right.
I'm curious about this. This is not something we want to dwell on, right? But what kind of expulsion was done? Was she stopped from coming to the church, or was marriage dissolved, or whatever? What is the expulsion that was carried out?
It's very interesting.
Interesting one.
All right. That's great. Okay, we're going to look at a couple of more papers for you as we make progress, starting from these day newspaper afterwards. Let's take a quick break now. We have some of our correspondents who want to bring us up to speed. Again, just give us some sort of insight into how much of progress we are making into the FCT Area Council elections today. Do stay with us, everyone. All right, so we're joined now by two of our correspondents, Aniyetia Patrick and Uba Usoro. Good to have you guys in the studio. I mean, how you juggle the field and the studio, it's left for us to understand. But it's good that you're here. A while ago, Aniyetia, I'll begin with you. You gave us some insight into what was happening at the RAC and all of that. Have we moved past that point now?
Well, actually, the RAC Center is supposed to be the activation point for ad hoc staff to move their materials down, which was one of the major places we had to go visit first. And we noticed that at arriving there at about 8 a.m., which was exactly the time election was supposed to start proper, the RAC Center was still a chaos of people, vehicle movement, the ad hoc staff, the supervising of electoral officers, trying to ensure that ad hoc staff were giving their materials to start moving to the polling unit. And that was not part of the plan from the INEC, the rec of the FCT. As yesterday when he gave the assurances that by that time, everything should be set because they had done enough planning, logistics. So I was really surprised and amazed. We started approaching the supervising officer who was on ground for the INEC office. She said, you can see, not about the delay, people are moving and all that, but it took some minutes before we knew they started dispatching and moving, the vehicles were moving and conveying the ad hoc staff to the needed PUs. And this is cut across the airport road axis. That's the LEA Primary School RAC Center in Lube on the airport axis. So that's what happened at this time. But at the time we were leaving that point, they are started moving to the PU centers to ensure that voters start coming out, because we actually moved to some of the polling units and they were just standing there. We had party agents and observer groups already waiting for the arrival of the INEC materials for this election to commence fully.
Good. I mean, Priscilla and I a while ago were expressing concern as to whether this lag will not eventually rub off negatively on the outcome. I mean, the exercise in itself and all that. But Ubang, let's talk about you for a second. I mean, you shared a video a while ago about how that some persons would rather be on the street playing football than participate in the process. That's not new, though. But one would have thought that for election that strikes at the very core of the grassroots, the approach would be different. Talk to us about the implication of that.
Yeah, I feel that it points out to voter apathy, and we've been seeing growing voter apathy. Although the Anambra election, there was a little bit of increase, people coming out to vote, because the last Anambra election, we had over 18% of registered voters coming out to vote. But we'll be having less than 10%. The first election of Professor Charles Chukuma Soludo was less than 10% of the people, registered voters, that voted him. And according to the statistics INEC gave us, we had 1.63 million persons who had registered and gotten their voters card to vote in FCT. But from what I'm seeing, people are not interested. A lot of young people are playing football, going about their businesses. We may have less than even 15% of that population
coming out to vote.
And in a democracy where majority is supposed to elect the leaders, so if you look at the maths, you see that at the end of the day, it's even the minority that elects the leadership, and the majority goes with whatever is elected.
Quite a sad narrative, no doubt about that. But we do hope that as we make progress into our democracy, this is 27 years virtually, that all of these things begin to look up in terms of cutting down voter apathy and ensuring that it becomes far more inclusive over time. I'd like to say a big thank you to you guys for coming to share with us. We hope to reconnect with you time and again in the course of the exercise today.
Sure, we'll do that.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a quick break now, everyone. So much to talk about this election exercise today in the FCT. Of course, we'll be joined by election experts. Every time, just to help you understand exactly what's happening and how that this will help shape narratives going into 2027. Do stay with us. All right, so let's continue to push the narrative for you as we continue our special coverage of the Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections. Today, Samuel Odi, one of our correspondents, has been to town and is back, at least just to take a quick break and also use that medium to update us as to what's happening. Samuel, good morning. Good to have you in the live studio of Global Television.
Yeah, good morning. I think it's a pleasure to be here.
Right. So, I mean, you've been to town. You want to share with us what the pulse is like in terms of movement, participation, and the feel around town regarding this electoral exercise?
What area specifically are you coming from?
Okay, so far, we've been to 2 different locations. Okay, we've been to Asokoro. We were at 3 different polling units at Asokoro. We had the Sunrise Secondary School polling unit. We had the LEA Secondary School, and also at the O13 polling unit close to ECOWAS Secretariat. So afterwards, within these 3 locations, at 7:30 at the Sunrise Secondary School, electoral materials arrived at 7:30. At 7:49. Just a short distance, the materials arrived at the LEA Secondary School. As at 8:21, the materials arrived at ECOWAS Secretariat. And then getting to Nyanya now, Federal Housing, the reports were different. We saw a reasonable amount of voters on ground, but as at past 9, materials haven't arrived yet, and voters were out there in numbers, and they were agitated and not happy because of the fact that in some other parts of those same areas, Karo and the rest of them, elections had already commenced.
Elections has commenced in
Karo, yes.
But it's yet to commence
at Nyanya Federal Housing.
Interesting.
Yes.
So what could be the cause of the delay?
Well, now the cost of the delay now for that of Nyanya Federal Housing, they're saying that the electoral materials have not arrived yet, and there were no presence of security personnel on ground as at the time we were there.
All right, good.
Yes.
Incidentally, Summer will be going back to town to continue to monitor all of these for us as well, because the exercise has just started, so it's still stretched away from conclusion. Summer would like to say a big thank you to you, and we hope to reconnect with you a couple of more times in the course of the electoral exercise.
Yes, we could maybe do that, the rest virtually.
Right, thank you. All right, let's take a quick break now, everyone. Up next, we'll be joining an electoral observer, someone who specializes in observing elections, and he has done that for decades, to help us understand what this grassroots election means for not just the FCT, but for Nigeria, especially as we head closer into 2027 general election cycle. Do stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us, everyone. Let's continue to talk about the issues around not just the FCT area council elections, but generally elections in our country, even though we understand that it's supposed to be from the bottom to the top. Well, we're joined this morning by our first guest live in our studio here in Abuja, James Chuku. Is an election expert as well as good governance advocates. James, I'd like to say thank you to you for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here.
Great. So let's begin with, well, these are local elections, no doubt. The stakes may not be very high for many people, but then it is the very foundation of governance because it has to do with leadership at the grassroots. You and I have talked about local government autonomy here time and again. We talked about how that it will appear there is no longer local government, if you like, leadership because everybody now turns to Abuja or to the federal government for every little challenge, even for those that are supposed to be handled by state governments and state governors. When you look at these elections, how pivotal are they, or are they just being conducted for the sake of it?
Well, I'm one person that belong to this school of thought that democratic deepening in Africa should be a bottom-up approach.
Right.
If you get it right at the grassroots, then we develop that culture across the democratic value chain. So now, if you look at the FCT area council election now, you recall that FCT is one area that doesn't have a governor. So now you have the direct local government system that we are yearning at the state level. And the essence of the election now is to get administrators at this particular level, and this administrator now expected to carry out those dividends of democracy that ordinarily the governor is supposed to be carrying out at the state level, in the area of education, in the area of health, market management, motor park management, waste management and collection and the like, and every other things that need to be done at that particular level. So it's a very critical assignment that need to be carried out by all the stakeholders in the electoral process. And of course, if you look at it properly, you see that FCT is an area where the duties of all these local government, area councils, administrators are being overshadowed by the federal government presence. So you will discover that if attentions are not paid into it, then it's one that the people at these communities will be operating at a very, very shallow level where nothing is happening. But people will be deceived that the whole of FCT is a mega city where everything is available. I can tell you for sure now there are some communities in FCT now that don't have electricity, they don't have pipe-borne waters, they don't have good schools, they don't even have good primary healthcare system because the federal capital is overshadowing them. So this particular election is very, very critical in the sense that it will help in recruiting leadership along all these administrative structures so that they can now deliver all these goods that I just mentioned.
Interesting. Well, we saw, as always, a lot of events, including what you might refer to as drama, going into this particular election. As always, we also saw that INEC held several interactive sessions with critical stakeholders, civil society organizations, where you basically also are a key player, security agencies, of course, political parties, and what have you. If you look at all of this, would you say INEC and other critical stakeholders are prepared for this election?
Well, when it comes to election in Nigeria, we tend to be affected by our culture of last-minute rush. Last-minute rush in the sense that we discovered that the area council election timetable has been released since the administration of Mahmoud Yakubu. And of course, every activities leading towards that has been happening. So we shouldn't expect any kind of glitches or any kind of delay in preparation across board because enough time has been given for this particular exercise, as the case may be. So for me, based on my analysis and observation of the process across board, we should expect them to perform optimally, because everything that is needed from them has been put in place right from time. And of course, anything short of top-notch, free, fair, credible election is, you put the question if they are really competent in their dealings.
Okay, talking about free, fair, and credible elections, just before this election commenced, over the week we saw protests hit the city of Abuja, Nigerians demanding that even though the Senate has said we have adopted the transmission of results, but we're not doing real time, and some Nigerians are still dissatisfied. Do you think it's a good time to, still kickstart or go ahead to have the elections, that's the FCT area council election, regardless of the thoughts of Nigerians? And what do you even think about the process? That is, what do you think about the electronic transmission of results versus, the using the form or the hybrid method of elections as suggested by the Senate?
Well, if you look at that section 63 of the Electoral Act, it's not much departure from what we had before. And the mistake most Nigerians makes is that they think that the IREF portal is a computational system. It's not a computational system. It's a system that helps you to view how transparent the election is. And this system was brought about by the previous INEC administrator. And the idea is for you to know what is happening at a polling unit. So for instance now, if you are not from FCT now and governorship election is going on in your state, you'll be able to know how your polling units in your village voted. Because you can go to the IRF portal, enter the state, enter the local government, enter your ward, and you can view it at ward level. You see, that's the essence of it. Now, the issue of computation is not there. So a lot of Nigerians that are agitating that the whole process is not going to be transparent and all that don't really understand what the IRF portal does. You understand? So now, the argument of the Senate then was that, okay, the result cannot be transmitted electronically because there are some large or some areas in the country that are not, they don't have network presence, which for me is a failure on their own part, because if since 20 years or so that we've gotten the GSM technology and you are in the Senate or even in the political system and you will not be able to attract one single mass to your village, then you should be ashamed of yourself to be voicing it out. I remember ahead of 2023 election, the same issue came out because that was when they introduced the issue of IRF transmission and not. And Alin Dume then said that there is no network in his village. And the question I posed to him then is that, okay, there's no network in the village, how do you communicate with people in your constituency? So that statement that there is no network in some of the villages, though, yeah, that could be true in some pockets of places, but what is the percentage of these places that we don't have a network? That's one. Then secondly, as in what is the percentage to the point that we can say, okay, let us jettison the idea of not transmitting results, because there's this particular phenomenon of margin of lead or even the results in a particular place that can sway or swing the outcome of the general result. So if the place we are looking at is not even 10% of Nigerian total population, then it should not be a reason for us to cancel it. That's on one point. And the second point is there are technologies that you can deploy in the remotest of area and transmit results from it. That is why you see insurgent terrorists and the like operating from remote areas, sending you TikTok videos and all that. Right. So if they can use that technology, then why can't we use it for our own good? Then thirdly, the result we are talking about, and the beavers and the RF and the like, is configured in such a way that if after the election you compute your result and transmit it to RF portal, if you are in an area of zero network, the result will remain there. Immediately you are approaching where there is network, it uploads automatically. Just as if you are on transit by road now, if you are going to some place, you discover that when you go to some place, the network will be bad and everything. So people are trying to reach you, people are sending you WhatsApp messages and all that. Then immediately you are getting to the next set tower. You see your messages start dropping and all that. That is how IRF is configured. So it's a question of the timeline of when the result is coming, right?
Between when it is sent and when it's eventually uploaded.
Exactly.
That's delay in between.
So it doesn't invalidate the fact that the result cannot be transmitted.
Or it doesn't even impact its accuracy in a way that is adverse.
It doesn't impact it, because now remember that by the time we are done in the polling unit, we record the record results from EC8A. Then that result I recorded from EC8A is now taken to local government area where it's recorded from EC8B. After that, they take it to state collation center in case of governorship and state houses of assembly election, where they record it from EC8C. Then before we now talk of going to national, you understand? So that sequence. So before the beavers get to all these places, they are gotten to area of network and it start uploading. I remember in 2023 election, my consulting firm, we did data mining, result mining from the IRF portal. We did result mining the IRF portal. What the result of the 2023 general election we have them. Right? So when we are harvesting the result from the IRF portal, you discover that the IRF portal is configured in such a way that it will be showing you the percentage of results that has been uploaded. You understand? So maybe at the end of election, when they are collating now, you start seeing 3%, 5%, 8%.
So it shows you that progress line.
Progress line. So now most people that are just pontificating on this issue, they've not taken time to look at how the portal works. You understand? So your result will be eventually uploaded. It may not be real time. You understand? So if you don't even announce the result in real time, then why should you just be insisting that the result will be uploaded in real time? You understand?
So real time as an element is not realistic.
It's not realistic. It's not realistic.
My own question is, eventually the result will be uploaded from the beavers to the IRF. At what point? Is it at the collation centers or at the polling units?
Listen, if you are in an area of good network, 5G, 4G, 3G, immediately upload it at the polling unit.
Real time.
Goes real time to the IRF portal. So those ones are the initial results you get. Then those are the remote area. They can upload it where there's no network. Just press upload.
Yes, and they go back to where there's
then
network.
Immediately you are getting to where you can even get 2G network.
It goes up.
It goes to the IRF portal straight away. So now, you remember that the collation of results normally takes almost 24 hours or so.
Yes. Right.
So within that 24 hours, at least 98% of the result might have gotten to the polling unit. So if as a candidate, you use 98% statistics now to calculate margin of
error
lead now.
Okay.
You cannot come and be disputing 2%. If you as a candidate can win in the 98% that has been recorded, is it only 2% that will come out?
Because it's too insignificant.
It's very insignificant.
So how do we ensure that it corresponds? What is being uploaded at the polling units, or maybe eventually at the collation center? Because we will still have returning officers, right, to bring in the forms, the eventual results, the eventual collated results, right? So how do we tally what is, uploaded on the IRF versus what is collated or collated at the collation center?
Yeah, the way the whole thing is measured, because it's very important for stakeholders to understand how the polling unit level electioneering activity is. Now, after the collation, the form ECHA is the result sheet.
Yes.
Where you fill all the results.
Yes.
Then
that's party from the polling unit.
Yes. So the polling unit agents will sign. The security, it will sign and take a copy. The security there will sign and take a copy. The INEC official will take a copy. So the copy is in the 3 hands, isn't it?
Yes.
Now another copy will be pasted on the wall for everybody to see.
Yes.
So now, if in polling unit 007, I saw what, I have a copy of it, and I go to RF portal and see something different, then it's obvious that it's manipulated.
Yes.
So now, to answer your question, the only way we can compare it is to ensure that at every polling unit, stakeholders get a copy of the result sheet. Once you have that result sheet, you don't have anything to fear. So anything that anybody wants to upload in the RF portal, you can question it.
So it is mandatory that every result should be uploaded, regardless of network. In that polling unit, because you made mention on the fact that you don't necessarily need the network to upload it. It can go without the network, and when you get to a place where network works, it goes up. So regardless of network, every result should be uploaded to the IREV.
Exactly.
So why is there clause? Why did the Senate bring the clause of if there is no network? Since we don't have an issue of
fall back to manual.
Why is that there? Why did they bring up that option? Since we don't even need the network to upload in the first place.
You know, if you look at that particular clause, I don't just understand how whole people be having brainwave actually, because in the first place,
is that what it's called, brainwave over issue? Like,
because you don't need network for it to work.
Because so in the first place, we are not even using the electronic result. It's still the manual we are using.
Exactly.
It's manual computation we are still using. So, like I said before, that portal is for integrity. How do I put it now? Validation of the system
to authenticate.
Authentication, just for people that are in remote places, because as it is now, as a candidate now, you can't be in the whole polling unit. But through IRF portal now, you can see.
And track.
You can track. You understand? You can track. Now, computational wise, is from ECHA they take to the local government collation center to from ECH B to state to from ECHC. Understand? So now, if these things are computed manually, any serious person will take polling unit results seriously. So where most politicians face and where they need consultants like us to work with them is elections are lost and won at the polling unit. Forget anything that's happened at the collation level. If you lost it at polling unit, forget it.
This could mean that there are plans of not even uploading of results. Who ensures that the result is uploaded eventually? If
it's not uploaded, what stops you from getting your manual one? You understand?
Because Nigerians might want to monitor on the IREV. And you might go to the IREV and you see that there are results that have not been uploaded. They now give excuse of there was no network in the center. But we are saying that regardless of network, you can still upload eventually.
Even if upload is going to delay because of non-availability of service at that time.
Exactly. So who ensures that this results are eventually uploaded, because that's where the whole
sharp practices
exactly can now come in, and that's going to happen. So there should be a system to ensure that whether or not the results are uploaded at the polling units, they are eventually uploaded when they go to a place, maybe the collation centers. We all know that there should be network at collation centers.
I'll give you an instance. During the past Osun State election, that was 2022 or 2023 election. There's this particular polling unit of interest. I use it as a case study of mandate protection anyway.
Right.
So they have about 2,000 registered voters, large number that can swing vote. So now the level of citizen vigilance there is amazing. You know, one, they ensure that they barricade the whole of that polling unit. You know, they condone
citizens.
Yes, they condone the coppers in a circle like this, and they put a what do you call it, a barrier. You know. So if you are going to vote, you go in there, you vote and come out. You understand? They don't allow more than the queue is outside. You understand? So they don't allow people to cluster there apart from the party agents. You know. So they even had a hint that some thugs are coming. You understand? So some of their boys, they mount the entrance of that area waiting for those thugs to come. You know. Then during the collation, when they are done with collation and everything, the election officials they now say there's no network, you understand? So the boys there, they started bringing their Wi-Fi. I say, which one do you want? I say, this Wi-Fi. You don't need network, you don't need password. Just connect and transmit this thing. Are you getting the point now? So what's the point I'm trying to make? We have a very lazy political parties or politicians that they don't know where the real arena of the fight is. Are we getting the point now? They don't know where the real arena of the fight is. And it's important that they know it. That's where election experts like us comes into place. We understand this thing. And we consult for any party that is interested to know how to ensure that you win this your election. But the thing is this, you can be in a polling unit and you can be rigged out without you knowing it as an election, as a candidate. You understand?
Even under your very nose?
Yes. You see, there's a reason why during election they allow some people to roam around, you understand? Like the press now, they roam around. What to roam around for is to go and see how the election is going on. You take pictures, take camera, and interview people and go, you understand? But you see, we, the civil society, we go deeper than that. We go deeper than that because we have stationary observers, we have roving observers. We are the only people that can move around everywhere on election day. Because even the politicians, they can't move around. So they don't know what is going on. Or they assume they know.
But they have party agents on the ground.
Agents on ground.
Good. So that agent now is a complete kettle of fish there now. Maybe if your guys, your media guys, where they picked me now, can bring pictures of those party agents now. You will tell me if those ones have ever read the electoral act. Because how can you be an agent of a process that you don't know how it works? This is the Bible of election. The constitution one, this particular one, electoral act.
This is 2022.
This 2022. I don't know whether 2020 has left Tinubu's decks. But this is one I still have now. There's no much difference. Then INEC guidelines, you understand? So now, by the time you pick some caliber of party agents that are already drunk before they get to the polling unit.
As early as that time?
They're already drunk before they come to polling units that are there to cause chaos or have been given directives to cause chaos or are not even loyal to your party.
Yeah, because there are some sabotages that disguise as party agents.
Or you as even a political party did not make adequate provision for their welfare. Then tell me how you are going to win the election.
So they can easily be compromised and then the candidate and the party can be undermined.
Thank you. So the battle election are won, those are the polling unit level. So most of them don't know it. It's not something everything.
I really feel like there's this resistance, basically because the political class, the ruling party, somehow the knowledge, the up-to-date knowledge on technology and everything that everything that it encompasses, somehow they are it's not adding up. It cannot add up. Like you say, let us use IREF. In a case where IREF does not work, we fall back to from EC80.
Right.
And we are saying that IREF does not even need real-time transmission. So there's no need at all for the from EC8A, or there's no need at all to even make that statement, because eventually we're going to still use from EC8A at the collation center. So it's looking like there is a misunderstanding of technology and its terms.
Yeah, I think the question I even wanted to ask James is, I mean, we all followed the debates at the National Assembly, issues around whether or not we can even pull off electronic voting, whether or not we can transmit electronically. Because you remember in 2019,
that's
James.
Real time.
Yeah, again, real time. That's what the Wahala is.
Yes.
In 2019, there was the issue of whether or not there was a server. You know, the PDP at that time and its candidates in 2019, I mean, presidential candidates, I should say, Atiku Abubakar had said, INEC had promised, look, there was going to be a server and blah, blah, blah. My question to you is, can we not at this point be having the conversation about electronic voting beyond electronic transmission, real-time, online, what have you? Are we not supposed to have advanced beyond this? Or can we continue to stick with the excuse of, well, it's a young, nonsense democracy?
Do we still have to even use the whole paper?
Yeah, still thumb print.
Just thumb print directly, and our thumb print is going direct.
Yeah, can we not advance beyond this point already?
We are no longer nascent at the age of 27. 27 now. 27-year-old
child,
male or female, is already a father.
Right.
If everything is being equal, so Nigerian democracy is no longer nascent. And if you look at it very well, it's so shameful that the level of voter apathy is increasing as we are progressing in democratic age limit.
Right.
It's quite at 1999, 2003, 2007, the level of participation is reducing. Understand? So what that shows is that we are losing confidence. Apparently, people are losing confidence in the system, and it has nothing to do with if you are using electronic or manual. It's a mindset. It's a mindset and our definition of what the electoral process is supposed to be. Because if it's something that we have the right mindset about election, which is a very critical exercise in a democratic setting, we shouldn't be debating about integrity. Because if you look at it, and as I always tell you, election integrity, whether it's credible, unfair, unfree or so, is a multi-stakeholders input. That at the end of the day, the buck will stop at the table of INEC to take all the blame.
Right.
Now, in some other countries, in West African countries like this, election official will go home with ballot papers. This result sheet you are talking about, he will tie it in his motorcycle and drive home and bring it to a polling unit the following day. Mindset. Patriotism.
But you're saying in our case, it's a different kettle of fish.
In our case, they have to go and lock it in central bank with armed men guarding it. At the end of the day, we'll still see some result sheet leaking out.
The process still being vulnerable.
Being pre-filled and smuggled into
the system.
So you see, so it has nothing to do with electronic or not. Now, if we go to the electronic now, that is even where we are going to have the...
I want us to talk about the electronic real quick, James, but we understand their reactions from the field now. I want to play those reactions, we'll listen to them, and then also react to what residents of the Federal Capital Territory are saying at this time.
Good morning, Nigerians. So I'm Ali Abakar Sadiq, and this, as you can see, this is federal housing. This is poly unit 020, and if you as you can see now, this is getting to 10 o'clock now. Up till now, we have not seen our election materials. Up till now, and other places have started voting now. They are doing accreditation and all of that. But up till now, the whole federal housing, as you can see now, there is no election materials, nothing. I'm just coming from the collation center, and in Nyanya, 95% of them now have left the collation center, so we don't know what is going on. And look at time now, and according to the INEC, by now our election materials are supposed to be in the polling unit up till now, so we don't know what is going on, Nigerians. So this is what is happening.
All right,
Thank you.
What's your name again?
Ali Abakar Sadiq.
I'm Honorable John Kamaya Shokogaza, the Executive Chairman of Bari Area Council. Yes, I want to thank God Almighty and also to thank the INEC for the process of our election today in Terra Capital Territory. As you can see, this is a ward and locally a 002. The processes that have been done here are perfect, very, very perfect. As you can see, I've already been accredited and I'm 100% ready to go and cast my vote. And I want to tell you that if only the procedures continue this way, there will be no problem. And by the grace of God, I have promised the crowd of Bari Area Council there will be peace. And I pray that God Almighty will show us from the beginning of the election today to the end.
About the assessment, you've gone around some polling units in Wari. What would you say about it?
Well, to the best of my knowledge and what I have seen so far, the conduct of the election has been peaceful. I have touched, this will be my 6th or 7th polling unit on this stretch alone. I've gone around other locations even before I got to Bari Area Council, and I think that the conduct is peaceful so far. Questions I've asked the electoral officers include questions like how, whether the place is peaceful, whether they are facing any form of harassment, and they've responded to the fact that there hasn't been any harassment. Police officers there, the electoral officers are saying that security agents are conducting themselves in a very permit me to use the word professional manner. They have also told me, I've asked the citizens, the voters themselves, and they are saying they are not being harassed or cajoled into voting parties that are not of their, that they are not willing to vote for. What I'm just saying here is that so far I think the conduct has been peaceful, well coordinated, security men carrying out their responsibilities the way they should. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, voters election materials and the late start to the whole exercise on their end. And now you saw the police commissioner for FCC also saying that he had monitored quite a number of polling units on his own stretch at that point in time and was largely peaceful, security operatives doing their job, playing their role, and what have you. James, I'd like us to, I mean, you heard the sound bites from there a while ago. First of all, thank you to our teams on the ground helping us make this happen, bringing us these live feeds from, yes, as we make progress. Very soon we'll continue to also rejoin them again. But let's talk about some of the things we heard from these sound bites. First of all, one of the things we have established now is late starts to election. Why has that become a recurrence decimal, so to speak, in electoral processes?
You know, when it comes to the electoral process in Nigeria, there are two weakest points. Or there used to be one weak point before, which is the collation process. Now they've added the late commencement of the polls to the...
They added it.
Yes, they added it to it. But it's clear that for you to have a credible election at any point, early arrival of men and material is very, very critical. Anything that happens, either by omission or commission, that result to the delay of arrival of materials on time affects the whole election.
All the way to the top.
All the way to the top. And the question that has been begging for answer from INEC every election time is, why is it that on election day, where movement has been banned, restricted, you cannot move materials from point A to point B.
So what's the excuse?
What is the excuse? Somebody like our chief for Ghana, Wike, even stopped movement from 8 p.m. yesterday, if I'm not mistaken,
Right.
till this morning. So is that not enough for every materials to be at the rack center and every logistic put in place to move this material at least 7:45, so that from 7:45 to 8:15 they've already set up. 8:30 they've started accrediting voters. So what this is showing is logistics challenges and incompetence in the part of INEC, because having a recurrent decimal in different off-cycle election we've observed, general election, now this one we are seeing now. Now it will amaze you now that within the city center, some polling units may not be having, might not have opened by now. With all the smooth road that Wike has done for us and everything. So what is the challenge? Let's leave the rural area. Okay, maybe they are remote.
How about city center?
Within the city center, because the last general election, from the rack to some secondary school within, you see some of the secondary school within Garke are used as a rack. Rack is the registration area centers, you know. They can't move materials from there to the nearest polling unit close by. When we went to a do election, the polling unit at Oba Palace and one, I've forgotten the name of this high school by that time, they are within walking distance.
Right.
We actually walked through that distance. They've not moved materials from there to the polling unit. So this is what INEC need to work with. Need to retrain its personnel on election day logistics. Very, very critical, because by the time you delay arrival of materials, it affects the voting and accreditation process, it affects the collection process at the polling unit level, and it will nosedive to collation in the dark, where the devil now puts his hand in the ballot box and will start complaining.
Well, I'm particularly concerned about one video I watched. I saw more of older women and then a few young guys in that polling unit. It used to say that we don't have enough awareness. The awareness was not enough. Why are we having aged and women, old women, mothers? We're not seeing a youth representation in this that particular polling. What could be the problem?
Well, interestingly enough, across board in all the elections we observe, women tend to have more faith in this democratic process than the men and the men. In terms of age democracy, the demography, we see tends to have more elderly people, because you see an old person with walking stick still coming to exercises or franchise. Some comes with wheelchair, some pregnant women, some nursing mothers, and all that coming out to vote. And of course, the youth now, if you look at the youth demography now, most of the youth, the Gen Zs now, they are about 27 years as we speak now. So those ones are digital generation. So those are the ones that will be more comfortable if we are having electronic voting.
Right.
Yeah, so anything that is not digital, is not electronic, they are not interested. You see the way they vote in all these reality TV shows and the like. You see how many million votes and everything, because it's just cast your vote and that. And again, the challenge is, like what I was saying before, it's not as if we cannot transition to electronic voting and all that, but with the kind of mindset we have, we'll still bring that corrupt tendency into the electronic system, because that one is easy to even manipulate. Somebody will just sit in the console somewhere and they can manipulate results and all that, can hack into results and all that. The glitches that happened last time, and nobody know what glitched in the system. That's why I think the legislators in their wisdom are not going full electronic system. Even in the US, I don't think there's any country that have gone full electronic system, but you can have an electronic assisted electoral process, which makes a lot of sense. And that's where that BVAS machine for authentication and all that. So somebody down need to be going manually to check if you are a registered voter or not. Your facial recognition, your face and mine can never be the same. Your fingerprint and another person, even if it's your twin brother, can never be the same. So that has reduced the incidence of multiple registration and multiple voting. You understand? So it has reduced all that. But what did the rogue politicians do? What they do, they just go there. They will even destroy the ballot boxes, scatter the ballot paper, destroy the BVAS machine. Just to make sure that they invalidate whatever is happening in that particular place. So the problem is not the technology, it's we that is deploying the technology. Technology is there to serve. It's like a genie. You understand? Your wish is my command. What do you want me to do? I will do it. But if you decide to use technology for evil instead of good, then you don't blame the technology, you blame yourself for having a wrong mindset about something.
So I was speaking with a cybersecurity expert, and he was of the opinion that if you're trying to transition into this electronic phase of voting, it's important for party leaders to have trained experts, trained cybersecurity experts. For example, you said the process can actually be tampered with if you have the wrong people there. But just as we have party agents, I don't know how credible these party agents are, I don't know how knowledgeable they are, but if we have more professionals being represented in every party alongside INEC tech team, don't you think it reduces the chances of, manipulating, hijacking, hacking the systems? Because there's a situation where everybody is contending for the position and everyone is knowledgeable on how the process goes. So if there's hacking coming from an APC, sorry to use APC, a PDP person would, that is wise in that sense, in that technological sense, would be able to spot on time. So do you not think we need advanced party agents with the right technological knowledge represented at polling units by parties?
The challenge is, if you look at technology now, there are two layers here. Now, the first layer is expertise, and the second layer is integrity.
Okay, yeah.
You understand? So now, no matter the level of expertise you put in place, once integrity is not there, you have failed. I'm getting the point now. So now, countering cyber attack is a function of your level of knowledge and competence. You understand?
Yeah.
So now if we put that kind of game in place now, everybody will be now looking for the best hacker. Because where your hacking skills stops, that's where another person will start. So now, where integrity is very important is that that's what we call open source and enterprise tools in technology. So open source is the one that anybody can use, but enterprise, you pay for it. You pay for it, then you use integrity to protect it. The system is so controlled that it's not leaked to anybody. Just like some soft drink now, they tell you that the formula is only known by 2 people.
In the world, yes.
And those 2 people, they don't even by chance enter the same plane. So just imagine that level of control. So that's the kind of level of control we need if we want to deploy that in INEC. You understand? So, but can we vouch that when we put somebody there, the person will have integrity, not to leak out enterprise software information to people that will compromise it?
The question is, who even puts that person? Who appoints?
Exactly.
Who appoints that person?
So the problem is mixed. So electronic voting is sweet, it's easy, it's fast. If it's electronic voting, by 12 by now, supposed to know the result and everything. You see everything computing, calculation. It's just, in fact, the math they do in in election is the simplest addition.
Right.
Addition, no subtraction, no multiplication, not...
It's a one-way traffic.
No quadratic equation. You understand?
Right.
But to make the whole process so complex and convoluted that they will look as if it's rocket science. Because why? We lack integrity. And why do we lack integrity now? Everybody is rushing to power to see what they can grab. Not to go and serve. Because if it's a system that is meant to serve, people will not be doing all this thing.
Yes,
so if we were looking, it's a conversation for another day. How do we make the power system to be less juicy, to be more service inclined than self-serving inclined? Until we get to that point, everybody wants to be in the power game. One
of the major issues we had in 2023 elections was the issue of cancellation from EC8. If you see somebody write this, you cancel it, and cancel, and cancel. Like as if you're writing exams. You understand? This is, like we said, it's the simplest calculation. There are tools that help you calculate. Especially in this century, you can just snap, give to ChatGPT, tell it calculate this for me. Although you don't trust the process, but there are easier ways that AI tools will help you calculate. Are we going to see reoccurrences of cancellations? Because that is one of the bone of contentions that Peter Obi brought to the table when he went to the court. He said the forms were too. He was just looking anyhow, like he was a primary school child learning to write.
What a question we would have asked him was, what was his party agent doing when such forms have been uploaded? But it's a clear case of result manipulation. You write, you cancel, and what you do to this thing. Clear case of result manipulation. And this is where the agent is supposed to stand and say, no, this thing cannot go this way. Like the polling unit of reference I was telling you about in Osun State that day, when they were counting, everybody started nursery school there. Raise it like 1, raise it up, everybody will see it 2. Counting, party A will record it. Party B, if party A scored 50, and you start counting party A up to 90, party B 90, no, party B has won already. So what do you want to go and start computing there? You understand?
So in that case of cancellation, what can the party do?
Do you
cancel the election because of the cancellation?
The computation even starts at local government collation center, but at polling unit is recording.
Yes.
You know, party A 50, party B 70, party C 95, like that.
But you can still make mistakes. And then when you go to the collation...
No, you cannot make mistake there. Any mistake you see is deliberate. Because all the election officials at polling unit were trained before going there.
Okay.
Do you know how many resources INEC spend in training these guys? So any person that is found with that kind of thing need to be arrested and punished.
Okay, so at collation centers, are you saying such mistakes? Because at that point, I don't know if we still have party agents at the collation centers. Of course, they should be presented there. And those when you go to the collation centers, you're dealing with more advanced humans that have been trained for the process. Do you start correcting them on their jobs at that place and space?
Now this is where. It's not everything I should be saying on air, actually.
But how much can we share on air?
Because it's important.
The much you can share on air is that at the collation center now, this is where you need to be very alert. You understand? Because you're not bringing results from different points. And that's where you can now rely on your IRF portal, you understand? So that by the time you sit and you are mining the result, now it's okay. In this particular ward, we have 15 polling units. How many did my party score? In all this ward, we scored 1,500. So if you go to if collation center score you 900 instead of 1,500, you now know that manipulation is there. And what is your evidence? You have the hard copies.
All right, we understand that one of our correspondents now on the field is ready to join us. Ubong Usoro, Let's connect to him and then establish where he is and exactly what's happening right there. Ubong, thank you for, again, second time around today, this time virtually joining us to share insight with us. Quickly, let's establish where you are and what exactly is going on there. All right, so it appears Obong is still being set up incidentally, but hopefully we'll rejoin him as quickly as we are able to do that. Well, can we rejoin him now?
Well, we said Sadia is up.
All right, Sadia, we understand Sadia is up. Let's quickly connect with Sadia Yakubu, who again is on the ground for us. Sadia, good morning, and it's a pleasure knowing that you're joining us live this morning. All right, Sadia, would you kindly let us know where you're joining from? And what exactly...
Kindly unmute your mic, Sadia. Kindly unmute your mic. We can't hear you. Kindly unmute your mic. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Live at Gabon Primary School under Buhari Area Council here in Abuja. Can you hear me?
My G.
Can you brief us, please? What's the situation of things there, Sadia? Can you hear us? Please brief us.
The situation of things, everything is calm. Everywhere is calm. No vote snatching, no vote buying. People are queuing on the line to cast their vote. As you can see, security agencies are on ground. And we have people still checking for their on the list.
Right.
That is this side. We have people, let me speak closer so that you can see them. You can see checking their names. And well, we still have some on the queue there who are already casting their vote.
Currently, what part of Fct precisely are you at, please?
Buhari, I stated earlier that Buhari govern under Buhari Area Council, FCT. Fully unit 002, Jabba 2.
Thank you very much, Sadia. Thank you very much.
All right, great, Sadia. We'll continue to follow up with you as we make progress at that polling unit under Buhari Area Council. Thank you again, Sadia Yakubu, for taking our time to bring us up to speed. Things are just getting started, quite frankly, across all these polling units, and Global Television has an eye out for you. We understand Usoro is ready to join us now, also to bring us some live feed from where he is. Usoro, again, would you just walk us through what's happening on your end now?
All right, so thank you so much, Uhi. I am at Gariki by UTC, where voting has commenced, and the people are voting. Voting is underway. The street is quite very peaceful. Everybody is very orderly. You could see men of the Nigerian immigration, civil defense, and the rest of them just helping, to bring some kind of order to the place. But the people are very peaceful, very friendly, and we are sharing handshakes. Let me move a bit so you could see where the voting is going on. Just behind me is the polling booths, and you can see the people are voting at the moment. And the queue is not long, just a few persons, and it speaks to the process of voter party and how a lot of persons are not really interested in coming out to vote. But that's the situation at UTC polling booths at the meantime.
Priscilla, you have a concern, but apparently it looks orderly, like he said, and serious business has already started.
We would have loved to speak with, if it's possible for him to speak with some of the citizens that...
the voters, right? Hopefully we're able to speak with some of them, but once we can establish that, we'll get right back to Uba Usoro, who is on the field. But James, in the meantime, I want to talk to you about the rigor involved in putting an election, or if you like, electoral exercise together, right? Quite expensive, no doubt about that. Let's talk about cost elements. For example, for 2027, we understand INEC has a requisition to the federal government, or if you like, to the National Assembly, totaling something in the neighborhood of 1 trillion, because first you have something over 800 billion, basically, then you have another 137 billion that we understand will cover, or is proposed to cover, whatever is going to be paid to ad hoc staff, including members of the National Youth Service Corps. Election is business in a sense, and for every business there's investment. Yet, in the case of Nigeria, we are not so certain if we get return on investment for all of these very vital resources that we put in. What are your thoughts?
Well, when it comes to this, of course, election is very expensive, because how do you explain a situation where you have one of the largest deployment of personnel? But there is popular saying that in Nigeria, where development don't get to, ballot box gets there. So the remotest area in Nigeria, about 1,700 and something polling units nationwide, are going to have about how many thousand? I've forgotten the real figure actually. They're going to deploy men and materials there, and these men and materials are talking about these ballot boxes in all these places, result sheets in all these places, ballot papers in all these places, at least 3 electoral officials in all these places. So if you multiply all these things, you discover that it takes that much, not to talk of other election day logistics and the like. Now, beside the printing of all these materials, both sensitive and non-sensitive material, transportation and the like. So if you look at all these things, you discover that a lot of money goes into this election. That's of return on investment is a function of the dividend we get from people that are elected to power. You understand?
Right.
That's why the leadership recruitment process, the internal party democracy comes into, of various political parties comes into play. Because I tell people that we have a system in Nigeria where we are given choices by the political party. And we decide who among, make a choice between the devil and the WC. You understand? So now, flawed primaries that we normally witness where candidates are hijacked or bought delegates up to candidates are hijacked or coerced to vote for a particular person. So any person that emerge there, then the rest of the people are left to make a choice between those people.
All right.
So now, depending on how the person perform, is a function of the return on investment we are talking about now. Because what is return on investment we want? Good roads, healthcare, education, security, and all those things.
And even our tax.
And our tax, fair taxation, because as a citizen is supposed to pay tax. So if you have a government that doesn't meet all this, then we've not gotten good return on investments. We don't buy bad market.
Those are the things that the federal government should even consider.
Exactly.
And even political parties.
Exactly. So if you emerge, either way you emerge, at least deliver the goods. Because Nigeria has enough resources, both human and natural resources, and intellectual resources, to be a great country. So if you emerge through any process at all, whether flawed or not flawed, whether credible or not credible, so long as you find yourself in that seat, the onus lie on you to ensure that you deliver the democratic dividends and goods to the people. So the question is something you can take to court of public opinion. How will you really get in value for the money spent in bringing all these people to power?
Interesting.
It was a very big one that we need to
Right. You know, in 2007, former president, late Musa Yar'Adua, did win that election. At least it was announced to have won that election by INEC. But there was something he did that many Nigerians still today consider very radical, given our political culture in this country. That was a president who had been declared winner of the election. Yet the man comes out and says, the election that threw me up, the election that I won was marred by irregularities. Therefore, from the very get-go, he begins to work in ways that are very practical to ensure that we kick-started reforms. Of course, that led to the setup or setting up of the Ways Committee. There was a report from that committee. That report today, some people speculate, is gathering dust at the villa. President after president after president. That report, for the most part, has not been implemented. We keep talking about electoral reforms. Are we just mouthing the terms as a mantra, or have we been able to move from paper to action on any scale, no matter how small it is?
Yeah, when it comes to electoral reform, I think it has become a ritual that is not appeasing any gods at all. Yes,
even the gods are tired of the ritual.
Yes, we carry out the ritual at the end of the day. There's nothing to gain from it, just like the one we've just done now. The electoral reform, which is the father of all the subsequent one now, was that Ways committee. And you discover that a committee was set up to look at how we can reform our electoral process, not the legislative process as we are having.
Right.
So now that has been hijacked by the legislators now. Because the thing now is that the reform actually was for them to critique the electoral process and identify the flaws and recommend a pathway to a credible election that is acceptable by all. And Yar'Adua, in his wisdom and in his integrity, for somebody to come out and say, look, you people put me here. The way you did this thing, I don't like it. So
that was commendable.
Very, very commendable. It's a clear departure to the types way the crops of politicians were having that would deliberately
make it worse.
Manipulate the process and tell you that it's credible to your face. So now you will blame President like Goodluck Jonathan that wasted time in implementing that waste report because Yar'Adua never made it to be alive to implement it.
He did the groundwork.
He did the groundwork. So had it been Yar'Adua tarried a little, he would have laid a very good foundation for our electoral process. Now, what are the recommendations? It was a holistic reform, actually, up to the appointment of INEC leadership. Was there that they recommended that the INEC leadership should be appointed by National Judicial Council, not by the president. There was a situation where we are going into contest and the president is appointing the umpire between him and other
contestants.
So the whole thing is half manipulated, apparently, or allegedly.
He who pays the piper.
The tone. So a situation where the president appoints the INEC chairman, the INEC commissioners, and the INEC resident electoral commissioners, and the national commissioners. It gives room for speculation and suspicion. That's okay, since it was the president that appointed these people, there is no way they can assure us that they don't listen to the president or they will not be inclined to favor the president.
Yeah.
So the Ways report recommended otherwise that the National Judicial Council should be the one recruiting this INEC official. So they throw the process open that people can apply, undergo screening or interviews and something like that. And we
just like the way you have with vice chancellorship and things like that.
Exactly. So let it be a contest. So you see that when that was not implemented, Then they now removed electoral reform now from an exercise for experts to become a completely legislative process, where at every new government, they pick up electoral reform as part of their legislative agenda. And they will carry it. They will debate for almost 3 good years till the election is close. Now they rushing to pass it or not to pass it and everything. Like I told you in our last engagement, the earlier you pass the electoral act, the earlier it will allow people to study it, both the INEC, the stakeholder, to know the provision of it, even the judiciary and all that. But by the time you pass the electoral act, in the eve of election, people will be occupied by the electioneer and they won't have time to study.
Was this current one passed early enough?
It's not passed early enough. We've been trying that this thing should be passed since November, December last year. You see, so had they been know that Tinubu is very fast in reading 350-page document within 1 hour, we would have insisted that the Senate pass their own version when the House of Representatives passed their own.
That was some sarcasm, if you ask me.
So he should have just passed it by December. So by January, all of us might have started reading this electoral act now. So this wasn't passed on time.
So we're going to have to play catch up for a while.
So catch up for a while, and it affects the electioneering process. So now, the issue of electoral reform is something that is still not too late for any government to go to the archive and dig out waste reports and look at it. Even if some of them doesn't match our current or modern reality, can be tinkered with, but majority of the things that are there can still be still useful and it's still good in terms of reforming our electoral process, because that particular committee was one of the soundest committee I've ever seen, made up of eminent personality like late Justice Ways, professors of Professor Adele Jinodu, a renowned political scientist, Chidi Odinkalu, renowned civil society activist,
and the lawyer,
and a lot of them. I've forgotten the list of people that are there. So I had that statement that have nothing to gain from this system. They came together and they gave you this report based on your request, and at the end of the day, they just kept it there. So it's not late for any government to bring that, refine it very well, and let us have just a good reform that you can now put that aside and reference it every election year. Then let us concentrate on this, the dividends of democracy, because what I've seen and what I've been telling you is that we'll start another election after the end of one election, after 2027 election now. After dropping headline promises and all that, the next thing, they're already calculating 2031.
Right.
So it's like we just exist as a country to go into elections. And nobody's talking about real development. Every development is politicized both by the opposition and the ruling party. The ruling party is doing one particular project, the opposition will misinterpret it. You understand? They're talking about it and all those things. So these are the things. So if we can fix our electoral reform process, we can now concentrate on governance, because that's how other countries is growing.
Right.
Nigeria has been left behind in many things. Country that cannot produce, cannot give steady electricity in this 21st century is not ready to move forward. Because everything hinges around electricity. Electricity alone is still a challenge in Nigeria up till now. Okay, now the president have already, or the presidency, they've already removed the electricity production from the exclusive list to concurrent list now. So what is the work plan to ensure speedy implementation of this? Because this is what people have been yearning for, and I really commend Tinubu for that. for being the first president to
liberalize the sector.
Liberalize it and remove us from this national grid that collapses every second.
Right.
Now anybody can now generate their own electricity and distribute. In fact, there's a rural area I went to like 2 weeks ago, deep inside FCT here. Can drive several kilometers without seeing anything, So I was surprised when I get into the settlement like this. They have electricity. Like,
independent?
Yes. You see electric for 33 kVA and everything. I was like, how did you get this thing? See, there's a solar. Went to the solar farm. Behold, a big solar farm in the village there, giving electricity to everybody there.
Wow.
You understand?
And it's cheaper.
It's cheaper. Whether it's cheaper or not, it's steady.
It's available. And it's cleaner because it's solar.
And it's available.
Yeah.
So these are what people want. So people in that village don't have any business migrating to urban center. That is the simple thing that the political class are not thinking about. So if every state can generate their own steady electricity, that is at least available 20 hours per day, people will not be running to city center. You can stay in your village and be doing your business. Somebody like me that is a village man now, I would like to stay in the village and be doing my agric business. You understand? Powered by electricity. Don't have any business coming to the city center.
Okay, so we need to take a break now. The idea is to quickly listen to some vox pop from the field, courtesy of our political correspondent, Ubong Usoro, and then we'll do some sort of analysis of that when it plays through.
All right, so still observing where the people are voting. We've gotten one of the supervisors for the All Progressive Congress who is ready to speak to us. Please, can we get to know you, sir?
My name is Barrister Ndodi Ezekiel Chidi.
All right, so you are the supervisor for...
I'm the supervisor supervising all our agents in the city center from area 10 to area 1.
All right, so what is going on and how can you assess the election so far?
Although the turnout is not that encouraging, but we hope people will come out later to come and vote. This is city center. It's usual. It's as usual. People doesn't normally turn out the way they normally turn out, like in the hinterland. But we honestly believe that they will come. But so far, so good. The election has been free, fair, transparent, and without violence.
All right. So apart from the APC, have you noticed other parties around? How are you coping with them, and what's the interaction between the other parties with the APC?
Yeah, as far as the APC is concerned, I've looked around. The other parties are there trying to canvass their own votes too. But for the man of capacity, Honorable Christopher Zaka Mekelangu, who have shown capacity in the FCT, who has touched the lives of the people, who have touched the lives of the people in the hinterland, the lives of the people in the urban area, and his work has spoken for himself. He has done a lot, and we honestly believe that his work will scale him through in this election.
Is there any case of vote buying? Is the APC buying votes, or is there any other party buying votes?
No, for now, it's fair and fair. APC doesn't have any reason to buy votes because the executive chairman himself has worked, and his work has spoken for itself. The people are ready to vote him en masse. The people are ready to vote him overwhelmingly for him to come back and complete the work he needs to do come 2030.
Thank you so much for speaking to us.
My pleasure. All right. My pleasure.
All right, that was our correspondent, Ubong Usoro there, engaging an agent of the All Progressives APC, who again has claims agents of other parties are on the ground as well, doing what they ought to do. But we hope all of this is happening within the confines of the law, whether they ground up the Constitution or extant laws like the Electoral Act and INEC guidelines. This, for the umpteenth time today, speaks to the factor of voter apathy. It's interesting, it's disturbing, it's deeply concerning. James, I mean, you listened to the gentleman a while ago.
Yes.
That was, whether you like it or not, a politician representing candidates and a political party, saying that the turnout is far from impressive. What's your sentiment?
If you recall what I said earlier, from 1999 upwards, the turnout
it has been a steady decline.
Look at President Tinubu, at what margin did he use to win 2023 election? It's not even up to 12 million in a country of 200 and something million.
Right.
And of course, you can boast of an adult size of 113 million. And of course, the voter register was up to 93 million or something.
Close to 100.
We have only less than 20 million people deciding this. What she's showing is that the political class should ask themselves if they are doing enough to, one, mobilize the citizen, because they hardly do that. What they think is mobilization is jamboree. It's jamboree. Now, election is coming now. The DJs and the people that are into public address system and event plan, they make a whole lot of money. But engagement, as far as Nigerian politician is concerned, is the number of people that gather in your rally. So that number of people that gather in your rally is not a validation of support. Right. But in Nigeria, that's how we view it. Most people that come there, they want to say, oh, this particular politician will be hearing about, let me even go and see what it looks like. Some people, that is why they are going there. Some people are coming to sell buns and pure water and snacks because a lot of people are going to gather there. The majority don't have voters card. They talk about the process itself. No meaningful conversation takes place there, apart from attack on the other political party or personalities. And some vague promises that doesn't hold water, a proper social contract. So now the citizens are not dumb. When you are done with all this and you don't deliver, they will just start looking at you. Or when they perceive that their votes are not being counted, they will still, during the election, they should just be looking at you. And when they also are concerned that there might be violence during the election, they say, okay, why should I go and die in this process? Let me stay in my own house, you understand? Then when they look at the emergence of candidates in the primaries, like I said before, internal party democracy is very, very key in leadership recruitment process. So once you fail in the primaries, where you manipulate the outcome by delegates, by candidates, some people buy candidates, and you do vote buying and all those things, then people lose confidence. So by the time people now say, okay, these are the crop of people that emerge at the top, okay, the party has spoken, okay, I have the right to stay at home. I don't like all these people that they brought in place. So these are things that need to be checked in. So as we speak now, there are a lot of voter party because of this reason. And voter party is very dangerous during election. Now, it takes people not to turn out for election to be manipulated and rigged. Because the more people turn out, the more difficult it is for election to be rigged. I'll give you an instance. If you have 2,000 people in a polling unit and less than 1,000 turn up, forget whatever they are saying, any result can be manipulated and churned out as the authentic result. By the time it's churned out now, then you, the opposition, will now start checking how many people are accredited, give us beavers to look at all those rigorous process. At the end of the day, based on technicalities, they will throw you out of the court to decide how you didn't win. So the confidence level of the electorate need to be built by the political class. As we're heading towards 2027 election now, they should start serious voter education and campaign and assurance, not a stadium jamboree and dance party where they use the opportunity to attack each other and all this. They should make it issue-based. They should sign a social contract with the people so that people now have that confidence to come out. So what this is showing is that people are losing confidence in the system. They are losing confidence in the system. So let them do their thing. They just do. Like some people now, they're angry that they have locked them down today. So they can't just watch before 3 o'clock. Everywhere will start booming with activities. People can't just wait. You know, some people are just so let me even stay at home today and rest very well.
So for them, it's a public holiday.
It's a public holiday for them. So it's something that should be disturbing the political class. They should be disturbed by this kind of trend. In fact, there's this attempt to even make voting compulsory and all that. So by the time you force people to come and vote, somebody can go there and vote 3 people. Because they don't trust the process. So you don't need to force people. You need to make people to believe in the system by the way you carry out your administrative duties and responsibility during that time. If you fail to do that, people are watching. Look at the FCT as we speak now. It's just of recent now that they started clearing refuse in FCT. I don't know how the area you live and how it was, but the area I live, like this, refuse will be piled up to the point that half of the road will be covered.
Yeah.
Refuse dumps.
Refuse dumps.
In most areas of
good. In highbrow areas like Asokoro, Metama, you see sewage with feces spilling into the street everywhere, smelling. And we have Abuja Environmental Protection Board. When we make inquiry, those ones, they say that no budget to pay contractors and all that. And contractors cannot come there and be evacuating waste without
being mobilized.
Being paid. They need to fuel their vehicle, they need to fix their engine, they need to transport it to a place and treat it and all that. So people are watching all these things. As we speak now, how many healthcare centers are working in Abuja? How many times has the secondary school go on strike? So these are the things people are watching. People are not stupid. So by the time you tell them to come out and vote, because it's a periodic rituals, they have the right to stay. They have the right to stay because we are not delivering anything. So the only thing that will make them to deliver is that, okay, if this particular person performs very well, they'll say, okay, we are coming out to vote because this person performs very well. People are seeing it. Anything short of that, you are just pontificating and being truthful by half.
Okay, so one of the concerns, or one of the major problems in previous elections, especially in the electoral process and the voting, or do we call it the registration process, trying to get your PVCs and all of that. It used to be very stressful in the past. But with the recent reform, INEC has come out to say voters card can be printed. Yes, you can go and print yours. Does this make the system more credible, or does it in any way, will it in any way fault it? Will it increase the malpractices, the likelihood of malpractices in the system?
Well, it depends on the technology they are using. If you print your voter's card
by yourself,
it will help a lot of people to register. And remember what I said about technology and integrity. So now it now lies on the election official now to ensure that the printed one is authentic. You understand? It's authentic, and the person can be accredited to vote. So these days now we have barcode. So if I pick a barcode, use this because the smart card reader, the PVC, the Beavers now, it has a camera behind, so you can use it to scan the barcode there. If it's authentic, it ticks it. And all that. If it's not authentic, you leave it. Understand? So this one now will help in reducing the cost of even producing the voter's card, and the cost of order going to queue up and everything, because people went through hell during the last registration. People wake up as early as 3 o'clock.
6 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 3
o'clock.
Yes, 3.
Talking about 3 o'clock.
Yes.
During those Hamatan season. I took my time to be in the field, so I know I'm not just talking out of this. And some people come with their babies will be crying out of hunger and everything, and they've not even attended to them.
Yes.
And I posed the question to INEC chairman then several times. I said, sir, why is it that it's difficult for this exercise to be continuous in the real sense of the word? Because if you say something is continuous, don't come and be doing it periodically, you know. So we have INEC offices in all the local government area, just like NOA. So what does it take to have these local governments, officials to be registering people on a regular? People turn 18, even today. So when somebody turn 18, they will go there and register and pick their card. without just the way we pick ATM card in the bank. Anytime your ATM card expires, you go and pick it. It's not difficult. It's just willpower, you know. And I also suggested then that, okay, instead of doing this on a periodical basis, why don't you take this into world level?
Yeah.
Because if beavers can go up to world level, then what does it take to take beavers to world level and capture people's biometrics and register them? So these are the things. So this, let's see how this printed voters card is going to pan out.
So would this not mean that politicians that want to rig can go and print for others?
Well, they can print as many as possible so long as it's registered in the portal.
Yes.
And
so you print on behalf of people and use their cards to vote.
No, that's where integrity comes, you understand?
Yeah.
Voting should be one person per time. And the technology should be strengthened in such a way that if you have voted once, you can't vote within that day or even within 3 days or so. So if they authenticate that one now, you now discover that if you have printed voter's card, you can go there. They use the beavers to authenticate your biometrics and everything, you vote. So whether the politician print for people or the other is scramble for supporters.
Is it not possible that they make up, we're supposed to have 176,800 and something words in Nigeria, polling units in Nigeria. Is it possible that they make up polling units and use that system to, because who ensures that party agents are represented in this 178,000 about polling units? Who ensures that there are party agents represented at those polling units to ensure that the results that are brought forth, at the end of the day, when we have this number of result sheets from these various polling units, it tallies indeed with the real human beings that were actually at those polling units?
It's a political party.
The political party.
Because they are the end beneficiary of the whole thing.
So the party agents.
There may be civil society organizations like us to check the authenticity.
Can they really visit all these polling units?
Sure. Because in civil society, the way we operate is that we form an alliance, right? If you are operating in Abuja, the other person is operating in Delta, I'm operating in Sokoto, and all that. All of us can combine our resources together. So this is what we are seeing.
And you reach out to these different polling units?
Yes, because if you are in Abuja now, you have coverage to all the remote areas. I won't have that kind of a thing. So me too, I have my own remote areas that so that's how it works.
Well.
Interesting. I want us to, as we begin to tie it up now, I want us to look at issues around observation of elections. We have local observers. I mean, you are big on that when it comes to observing elections in Nigeria, especially state and federal, general election cycle. You've done that for quite a long time. We also have foreign observers, your counterparts from the EU, from other African nations, from who knows, maybe continental America or even Asia. I've spoken to people, experts on election matters like you, who say that the fact that we have observers coming from even outside of Africa to observe elections on this continent, and we don't have much of our observers going to, for example, observe election in Europe, observe elections in Asia, observe elections in maybe Latin America, or of course the US, is a clear indication that we are far flung from, far behind from how developed we should have been in terms of our electoral process. For example, it's almost impossible, maybe far from possible, to see Nigerian election observers in Germany when elections are on, or in the Netherlands, or in Switzerland. I'm saying this now, I'm sure it's flying past your head because it's not the norm. And that is indicative of something broken in our own process back at home. That's number one. Number two is, we have seen cases where foreign observers, election observers, especially from the EU, have shared their own observations, their reports with INEC, for instance. What do we do with those resources? Do they rub off on our electoral process ultimately?
Okay. The first question, yes. When it comes to going for election observation mission, is a very capital-intensive project.
Right.
Like, because for instance, now if we are going for an election observation mission, we have long-term observers and short-term observers. The long-term observer can spend almost 2 years following
on the ground.
Yes, on the ground, following the electioneering process from the party level to the election management body to the election day. While the short-term observer, they come couple of days before the election. So now, to answer the question of whether we are far behind or not, it's not only Nigeria. It's about how significant, contentious, and controversial the electoral process is. Last three U.S. elections, Nigerians went there for the observation. And you obviously know the reason why. It's a very highly contentious election and all that. Then in some countries that they have an extremely peaceful election, what are you going to observe? You understand? People have trained their mind to do...
They're democratic, they're patriotic, put their country first.
They are less troublesome. In a country like Iceland, now that is touted as the most peaceful country in the world, what are you going to observe? Are you getting me? So
maybe to observe the peace.
Exactly, you can't replicate it and give recommendations.
But by and large, the thing is, the observation process is capital intensive. So until you have the resources to do that, you may just be watching.
You focus on controversies and spend your money there.
So those are the reason why. So, but Nigerians observers do go to other countries, especially African countries. They do study tours. They do. They invite other observers to the country for comparative analysis. And interesting enough, sometime last year, some observers from Ethiopia, they came to learn how our beavers and everything is working. So you see that it's not about the technology, it's those manning the technology. The beaver something, they have something that's very interesting, I think Nigeria should be one of the first country in the world or so that are doing that kind of a thing, where can be seeing your results real time. They came all the way from Ethiopia. I could remember during the 2019 election, we had delegation from Kenya, Zambia, South Africa, Liberia, Senegal, Tunisia. All of them came to Nigeria just to study our electoral processes. So it's a system where people compare best practice ahead of their own election. In terms of recommendation, yes, recommendation as a word is a recommendation, it's not a stamp. So those making those recommendations have no power to enforce the implementation. But to a very large extent, I can beat my chest that some of the recommendations that we made in our previous observation have been implemented. For instance, now, in 2011 election, if you go to vote that time, you need to go and do accreditation. And after accreditation, you now come back from voting. So we recommended simultaneous accreditation and voting in some of our recommendations. And you can see it happening now. Even though this one had a decentralized distribution center, is still part of our recommendation. So INEC do consultative meeting with us every quarter for a reason, because they look at all those are recommendations as okay. This one we recommend who can work with it now. This one who cannot work with it now for so reason. So those recommendations have been taken seriously.
Quite interesting. I think this is where we're going to leave it for this part of our engagement here on Global Television. We've been talking with James Ugochukwu. He's an election observation expert as well as good governance advocate who has spent the last 1.5 hours or so helping us to understand what's happening with not just these Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections, but what is happening with our electoral process altogether and what the implications are going forward. James, would like to say we're grateful for your time and expertise.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We hope that the rest of the process transit peaceful and seamlessly. The only thing I'm concerned, I don't want to hear that anybody died because of this election. So anyone listening should conduct his or herself peacefully dying for this democracy is not worth it. You need to be alive to enjoy democracy, stay alive, and be the part of people that's okay. Yes, we work for this and we are enjoying it. Don't die for any politician. It's not worth it.
Thank you.
Well, I think the word my mom says is enough for the wise. All right, let's take a break now just to let you know that our special coverage of the Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections continues here at top of the hour. That will be midday in West Africa. We'll also be bringing you news updates. Please do stay with us. All right, this is apparently a continuation of special coverage of today's electoral exercise, one that has to do with the area council elections in the Federal Capital Territory across Abuja. We've been talking about many of the factors and elements associated with this exercise beyond what is happening today. The, if you like, evolution of our electoral process from bottom to top in Nigeria. And one of the things that stood out for us when James Ugochukwu, our very first guest a while ago, was talking is the fact that we need to be concerned about how that, based on statistics and available reports, participation in our electoral process has steadily declined. So it should be of priority for not just government, but INEC and indeed all the critical stakeholders to ensure that we continue to work assiduously towards making sure that if you like, the graph moves up in terms of how people participate. We must ensure that demographically we increase the numbers, all right? Young people, I mean, those who have just turned 18 now, then of course all the way till maybe 27, and then those in the middle, the youth, basically, and then the elderly, or the senior citizens, in such a way that participation as against apathy is driven by patriotism, by keen interest in the process beyond you voting, but also ensuring that you protect your mandate. And then, of course, by doing that, hopefully we are able to cut to its barest the proclivity for violence during election. Because whether you like it or not, when we talk about apathy, there are factors responsible for that phenomenon. One of them, again, like Priscilla mentioned, my colleague a while ago, is when people are afraid of, well, volatility. What could go wrong at a particular polling unit? And incidentally, we have quite a number of polling units that have sadly, if you like, recorded notoriety, all right, for being violent every election cycle. So how do you expect people to be confident enough to go out on election days to vote at such polling units? Plus, speaking of confidence, how about the institutions, beginning with INEC? How do we make sure that these institutions also work hard enough for the public to have confidence in them? We have some feeds from, well, our correspondents on the ground I would like you to see, just again help you understand what exactly is going on today.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
Please, can you tell us your name and the polling unit you are currently?
Okay, my name is Emmanuel Nikia. This is Gaba polling unit.
Alright, so how are you satisfied about the electoral process today?
Very, very well. I think everything is going well. The accreditation is going smoothly, not like as before. So everything to me is okay.
What about the security aspect?
The security, you can see it by yourself. The security are moving around. The situation is calm. Everywhere is good. In fact, this year and this year election is what we expected. If other years are like this, we won't have issue at all.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Their choice. You are son of the soil. What message will you be passing to your people in the city?
Yeah, I'm from here. I was born here, and I know the problem of the resident of the FCT. The whole thing is that any leadership in this country, by the law, by constitution, you have to go through the voting, and that is the process we are witnessing today. At the local level, people should come out and vote the leader they want, who is going to govern them in their democratic council, including the council also. So, and I believe that people are doing their rightful voting. But the person vote the good one that people want, they want the winner of the election.
You are meant to give Mr. President feedback of what is going on as the Minister of Special Duty and Intergovernmental Affairs. Sir, what will be your assessment of INEC officials, security operatives, and the electorate? I'm not the president, but you can let us know what you are going to tell Mr. President.
Yes, the INEC, they are all here, and they are all over the City Council, and they are conducting an election free and fair. No hinges, and I believe the security agents are also doing their job. I can see the atmosphere is very calm. Everything is going well. So that is the only report I can give. And I believe that everybody will testify that the election of FCT is unlike some places. It's free and fair. Nobody will franchise. Everybody should come out and vote the rightful candidate.
For those that may not know your name,
my name is Zafanaya Fct Decides, Minister Special Duty and Governmental.
So are you impressed with the voters turnout?
I'm okay. You can see the crowd, a lot of crowds here, and the people are still coming. So it's a gradual process.
Because we have enough time, right?
There's enough time, and the people. What time? The closing time is 2:30. So the people are already here. So, and I believe between 9 to 2:30, everything will be completed.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
Thank you.
All right, the last respondent there was Zephaniah Jisalo, the Honorable Minister of Special Duties, who again has obviously cast his votes and sharing his own experience right there. And I liked when he was asked about whether he would share his observation with the president, and he smiled broadly, chin to chin, and said, yes, he definitely would. Of course, he should. What the president now does with that is up to him. But the gentleman before, the Minister of Special Duties who spoke, talked about how that it was quite peaceful where he voted, and he said there was no violence, it was quite cordial, and the process was running hitch-free. And then he said something very instructive. He told a reporter that he wishes every other electoral exercise had been like this or would be like this. Of course, that's the desire. Just like our guest said a while ago, we have a responsibility to ensure that the process is peaceful in such a way that everybody has to play their role before we even think about pinning blame or INEC. You see, again, that's a reminder that we collectively and individually have a responsibility in this venture.
Well, I think there's something that is happening. I don't think I'm comfortable. We are comparing these elections with 2027.
2023, you mean?
2023.
So are you saying that's a retrogressive assessment?
Yes, we're supposed to compare with the last area council elections to see our progress.
For fairness.
Somehow, yeah, exactly. Because somehow the 2023 election is still fresh in the mind. I don't know.
Right.
But what we're supposed to assess is the previous area council.
The very last before this.
Elections. Because if we use 2023 elections, general elections to judge this, we'll definitely
there won't be equilibrium.
Exactly. We'll fall short beyond, way beyond the expectation. So the comparison is with the last area council elections, not with the last elections, so not the last general elections. That is one thing that our team needs to, ask, especially these officials, these people at the forefront. Yeah, the assessment at this point is very, very important. And so far, I would say it's going well. I don't know if we've been able to, if I compare it with the last FCT elections, I don't know if we've been able to make progress talking about voter apathy, because this is one election that a lot of people are not aware about. Yes, you would hear people talk about it. You'll see it on social media. I don't even think we saw much of it on social media. The concern, the focus was on the protest. The focus was on electoral reform. We're not talking about will this be used, the electoral reform that has been made, will it be used in the FCT elections and off-cycle elections? Because this is the most urgent. We didn't see that conversations. We didn't hear about it. We just focused on protest and talking about transmission, real-time transmission of results. So it's worthy of note, and I think it's something that should already circulate. It's quite scarce, right? It's quite scarce on the internet, and it raises concern about the awareness that INEC itself has made. What we see, the kind of awareness we saw, I personally saw, was from political parties, people going for campaigns, rallying. And if you are not in that vicinity, you will really never know. In a like Abuja, where people are in their houses, right? You don't know what's going on, except you are in those suburbs which is usually rowdy. You can see your next door neighbor. If you're not in that kind of a vicinity, you really know that something like this was happening, or you wouldn't know that there is happening. So we need more awareness, especially for INEC. We need the National Orientation Agency to bring this to the awareness of people. If we don't have these bodies come together and talk about it and to the common man that is concerned about what we eat.
Right.
His concern is not about any FC. He doesn't even know that an FCT chairman is supposed to repair the roads. He doesn't even know that an FCT chairman is supposed to, make facilities, the primary health care, the markets, the hospitals, the schools, government schools. They're not even aware of the fact that these are the responsibilities.
Largely disconnected.
Exactly, it's a concern. So we need more awareness. We need INEC to do better in 2027. Yes, 2027 people are more aware of elections. But how about elections, off-cycle elections? How about elections, grassroots elections as this? I don't think we're doing enough as, INEC and then National Accreditation Agency.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Well, it simply means that we'll continue to highlight the roles of individual, of course, agencies of government, as well as collectively what we must do as a country to move forward. Because if our electoral process fail, God forbid, a million times, it's not INEC people will see outside of this country has failed. They'll say Nigeria's electoral process has failed. And to that extent, it involves INEC as the umpire. Of course, that also has to do with ancillary agencies of government and more importantly, citizens as well. This is where we're taking a break now as we continue to follow the analysis in the background for you at top of the hour, 12 o'clock West African time. We will be bringing you, taking you to our newsroom to bring you news updates, and behind that we'll continue in our live studio from where we are following with the FCT Area Council elections. My colleague Priscilla Obasi and I will continue to do that for you. Please do stay with us.